We are back. My next guest tonight, please welcome a very funny guy, Artie Lange.
Our next guest is one of the funniest guys there is. He eats devil dogs for breakfast and cigarettes for lunch. Hey, ladies, here he is, Artie Lange.
We're joined right now by a hilarious comedian. His latest project, the Artie Quitter podcast, is available through artiequitter.com. Please give a warm welcome to a good friend of the show. Here's Artie Lange, ladies and gentlemen.
Our next guest is a regular on the Howard Stern radio program and the author of this New York Times bestseller entitled Too Fat to Fish. Here he is, the very funny Artie Lange. Oh, Artie.
It always makes me laugh when I see Artie Lange on stage, knowing I'm going to outlive him.
A Jack Daniels swilling, pizza-eating, dog-hating, whore-using, cocaine-abusing, hairy-back, big-belly blowhard from New Jersey. The fat little bastard known as Artie Lange!
We're on.
Hey, guess what? My studio as a podcast, a.k.a. my apartment, has a Jackie chair. That's the best.
Did you see those? I can't believe the way people tweet, and that was one of the tweets a couple times.
Is that what they say?
Is Jackie going to get to sit in the Jackie chair?
Well, yeah, that's you can have wherever you want. I got the Jackie couch over here.
Right. The Jackie bathroom. I got it all. I can't. Those people
it's like
know
transgender. We have a Jackie bathroom.
That you never know which way I'm going to go. They still carry everything. You know, the cats and the complaints and
ridiculous.
It's almost flattering how much of the crap they remember.
Well, it is flattering, absolutely, because you realize how big of a part of their life it was. I always say, Jackie created. In other words, like I couldn't have dreamed of the job I ended up getting in show business because Mad TV, I was a cast member of a sketch show that had been done before. Then I got a sitcom movie. It's all been done before. Jackie created a job that I ended up getting that I could never have dreamed of because Jackie didn't create it yet. Until I was about mid 25 years old. So salud Don Corleone.
It was just wonderful. It was just great. And I get people come up to me all the time now. Oh man, I've been listening to you since third grade, and I'm like, geez, how fucking old am I?
Even me. Listen. I started on that show, Jack. Now it's 16 years ago, 15 years ago. That's how long ago you left. So, and you had already been doing it for 17 years. They were 17 years deep. And, you guys created this legendary thing, and you organically came up with a job in show business. You carved out a specific gig. And, I didn't really take over for you. Benji technically does what you did. And,
right.
Benji always spoke very highly of you. He was always a guy like, the fans would ask, everybody doesn't hate Jackie. Like, they don't.
People want to create, they want to create a rub, But, I try to explain to people how that whole thing.
By the way, Jackie Martling's my guest tonight.
Well, when does he get here?
Go right ahead.
It was so organic the way the whole thing happened because I slowly was giving Howard ideas.
That's how good shit ends up happening, yeah.
One day a week for 3 years, slowly but surely. And did I tell you this? Like, when we were going to mornings, he called me up and said, listen, I need a price for you. Because I had worked for free for 3 years.
By the way, I got to ask you this. As a stand-up comic, that's a major change in your life. You're going to morning radio. You don't realize what you're saying to a comedian. You're like, whoa, wait a minute.
When they first started... The rumors started hitting that we might go to mornings. Yeah. Everybody's like, no, that ain't going to happen.
Which is the time slot to get in radio.
Of course.
That's the Thursday night after Friends,
But in my mind, I'm like, that's never going to happen because in my whole life, I got up like twice at 4:30.
Right, exactly.
And he called up, and when he called me up, he said, listen, I want you to come in 2 days a week and do your thing with the notes. That was our total job description in 15 or 18 years.
And it was 2 days a week.
But I went to 5 days a week within.
It had to be almost immediately,
well,
right?
Not immediately, but I think it was maybe 2 months, maybe a month and a half.
Thing with the notes. So writing jokes.
That was our complete job description. But he was funnier the days I was there. So you know.
No, it was a great group that I think sort of you guys uplifted each other.
Just great fun.
So no, wait a minute. So that's interesting. So that's what 1984. What do you go? 85. You guys went to mornings. Late 85.
86.
86. Okay. Because you went to K-Rock. You weren't weren't mornings yet at the beginning.
No, he got fired, I think, in October, and K-Rock hired him in November, something like that.
I mean, you guys shot up to like iconic status. Because listen, this was happening. I was on the other side. In '86, the beginning of '86. I was 18 years old, and my old man had fell, and he was a quadriplegic. And my father, again, was hip enough to turn me on to the show. So,
I didn't know. That's cool.
The only thing that made my old man laugh, and my hardcore fans, they know this, is listening to the show. And my father loved Jackie.
You never told me that.
Well, listen, it's weird.
That's nice, man.
It's very nice because you were the blue-collar guy, the guy you hang out with, and my father laughed like crazy at the show. And the bits that my father originally told me about was all stuff that you wrote, the stuff that's in the movie. And
that's great. That's so flattering.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you were always the guy that was the guy you want to hang out with. But, and again, not in an insulting way. Also the funniest motherfucker in the room that you want to hang out with. You got to have that talent. And my father just loved your laugh, and he taught me how to listen to the show, and I got addicted to it. And then my buddies, I mean, I'm telling you, it was, you said that you got goofed on. It kind of was our Beatles. My buddies who went to college, they would say, they're in the, you guys are in a rut now where I can't get out of the car. I'm missing class. I have to keep listening. And I was the loser who never had to go to I got a construction job, and we just listened instead of frame a house.
Right, you got to listen to whatever you want. I love those stories about people pulling over at in front of the Lincoln Tunnel, and
that really happened. That really happened.
It was great.
And the promo that some brilliant guy came up with said, "You're listening to the same thing the guy in the car next to you was listening," and that was true. And so you guys shaped. I was always kind of the funniest guy in high school, probably a lot like you. Like, I should be a comedian. Blah blah blah. I didn't go to college, but Belushi definitely framed my comedy. Bill Murray, Eddie Murphy later on, certainly Letterman. I love Woody Allen, but I'll tell you what, Howard and you guys, that particular crew there, you very much included, obviously, shaped my style of comedy more than anything in the world.
It was like, no matter what, you just go for the joke, whether it's smart, stupid, whatever.
And not care about it being smart. You're not so uptight about it. Just, is it fucking funny?
Yeah, you're not thinking, is it hip? It's like, you laugh and worry about hip later,
And you were very much part of the architecture of that, and again, I try to say that every time. I don't care if I'm repetitive, because I get new subscribers every time, and people should know that. And
I told you about the Cher song, right? Did I tell you that story?
Wait a minute. You told me a couple of new ones last time, but I don't remember.
When I started, Howard said to me, "Whatever you do, don't edit." Did I tell you this? He said,
"Don't edit
you
yourself.
Write whatever you want."
He told me that too in a way, but not writing. He said, "Say it."
Yeah, right, he said, "You write whatever you want. I'll do the editing. So don't worry about if it's." And there were a couple of times where I almost knocked him off his chair with stuff like that.
But that was his brilliance, sort of being able to take that raw greatness and But
we're sitting there writing a song after the bagel guy was dating Cher.
Right, Rob something, the Italian guy.
Right, the guy Rob is dating Cher. So of course me and Fred and Howard are going to write a parody.
If you went to Central Casting and said, okay, Cher is going to date a Guido guy who sounds almost retarded from Brooklyn, who delivers bagels,
they throw you out of the office.
And this guy was that guy.
Camilletti.
Rob Camilletti.
So we're sitting there writing a parody to "I Got You, Babe." And we get to the middle 8, and all of a sudden Howard sees me shake my head, and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "No, it's too stupid." He said, "Nothing is too stupid. Tell me what you're thinking." And it was the middle 8 of the song, and it wound up being. It said when it goes to the break in the song, he goes, "Rob." It's Fred singing as Rob Camilletti. He goes, "I see London, I see France, I saw Cher in her underpants," which is just so childish.
What are you gonna do?
People driving off the road.
You had to have something. I would have given it up for that. My similar thing with him with the editing thing. By the time I got there, he had about a 30-second delay for a little while.
Yeah, he could dump most of the morning.
Yeah, and Tom Cruise. Who knows if he's gay or not?
Tom Food.
Yeah, that was always.
I still do. When I hear Tom Cruise, I still hear Fred going, "Tom Food."
Perfect. But that was always the rumor: is he gay or not? But he was very litigious, and by that time, Howard was very, very sort of
careful,
smart about. I don't want to get sued. I don't give a shit. If it's offensive, I don't want to get sued. So Robin Nicole Kidman, real thick Australian accent back then when they got married. They were in the news because they got married, and she was doing the story about that. And I said, remember Foster's Lager, Australian for
big,
beer,
big huge can.
I said Nicole Kidman, Australian for beard. That was my joke. That was my joke. People laugh, and then I see Howard hit the button, and he looks at me, and he's shaking his head on the air, and I go, "What?" It was my first sort of thing of being edited. I said, "What?" He goes, "Dude, great joke, man. I love it, but he sues people. I can't do it." I said, "Really?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, You see how it feels?" And I said, "Now I know your guys' pain. Now I know maybe what you felt like. If you write a great joke, especially Jackie, like you're the comedian, if you get a great joke on and you think people you know is going to great, and you find that it was edited, it's like tearing your skull out.
Listen, he told me, don't edit, right? And
Right.
I'm sure I told you this. There was a horrible story so long ago when, I don't know if you remember,
Right.
that these guys in Texas tied a black guy
Yes.
to their car
I
and
remember.
dragged him to his death.
I remember.
And I wrote a note.
The worst racist story ever.
I wrote a note and handed it to Howard, and he almost fell off his chair. And he looked at Robin and he said, "We'll be right back." And the note that I wrote
That's great.
said, "Polish water skiing." I still have that.
Oh, wait a minute. I need a day to laugh at that.
He looked
I
up-
never heard that story.
He looked over at me and said, after we went to commercial, he said, "What
Yeah.
planet are you from?" I said, "Listen, you told me not to edit."
I'm from the planet Stupider.
Oh, God. But that's a beauty, isn't it?
The Planet Funny is what.
Planet
No, dude, in 8.5 years of, because I always listen. When we were off the air at lunch, sometimes I'd get from Stuttering John, who loves you, and I would get Jackie Lore stories because they knew I loved you, and I never fucking heard that one. That's great. But I did. I heard like that Australian for beer thing was the first time he gave me the look, and he was nice enough to go, "Look, great joke, man. Keep thinking like that." But you're learning now. Some guys, I said, "What a motherfucker! He would sue you over that."
In the grand scheme of things, that is as gentle a joke,
it's
and it's
right.
so
It's
creative.
more like clever, right? Exactly.
You'd like to think that the guy himself would think that was fun, not Howard.
Right? No, of
Cruise.
course, Howard loved it. Tom Cruise. Could you imagine what a pussy you got to be? But that's the thing. That's what was great about the show, and people give me credit for that kind of humor. I'm like, no, I just walked through the door that sort of Jackie and Howard opened. Who would even think about joking about that story? But the guys on the back of the truck, nothing was taboo. And I love the thing of like, who else was goofing on fucking stupid actresses, like Drew Barrymore talking about their character and how they got into the character. And you guys had that thing. Drew Barrymore and whoever has a perfect life except for us. Except for
right.
yeah. And
Poor Billy Crystal,
Oh, right. Well, what are you going to do? Billy Crystal again, perfect life. Everybody in Billy Crystal's life is kissing his ass. Everybody. And the guy's a talented motherfucker, but he's known as being a pompous jerk off. Okay? You guys, you could argue, a shrink could say you helped him. He would need somebody to take him down a notch.
Right.
Otherwise, he's always up there.
Laugh at yourself a little.
Well, that brings me to the what I wanted to open with. Since we did the podcast last, so you know what I think of Jack and everything. Me and Jackie were. It was cool that we got together. We were invited to do stand up on Mark Cuban.
I love when people come and say, "Oh, it's great to see you and Artie getting along again." I don't know why people think that we ever did, but that was such an honor to be with you.
But we had a great crew that night, and I said, my agent called me up, and I had done that once before. I hosted, and they said they're going to do it differently now. There's going to be like a tag team thing because it's sort of an all-star lineup. And I said, "Who's there?" It's Mark Cuban's stand-up show. Once a month, he has
Access TV.
Access TV is the network. It's Gotham Comedy Club live at Gotham, but it is live on his network. And the greatest thing is
every second and no editing.
Do whatever you want.
I hosted it once too, and it's just the greatest. The guys are great.
Do whatever you want. And I said, "Who is it?" And they told me, "Jackie, listen, it was Gilbert." I said, "Well, that's it." And Orlando Jones, who's special to me because first of all, he's great, and second of all, he was my roommate. We did Mad TV for 2 years. I love Orlando. And then, of course, there was Mario Cantone, we all know, and his hard to follow, just amazing. And then they said Jackie. And I said, "Oh, that's so fucking great. I'm going to be on the bill.
Such a good lineup.
Yeah, I'll be on the bill with Jackie." So, look, everybody killed. And I think Orlando went first. He destroyed. Everybody killed. And then Jackie goes up there. And I got to tell you, it is like, I told people to shush. I said, Jackie's going to tell jokes right now. This is so good. And I'm looking out at the guy, the millennials, and everybody's looking at everybody's got a beard from Williamsburg, and they're fucking, because they work at the Gap. They're so brilliant.
Right.
And I said, these motherfuckers don't even know what a joke is. They don't even know what it is until they're about to hear one. So he did. Well, Jackie walks up there, and I said the analogy was like Babe Ruth walking up very slowly and pointing to center field. And what was the first? You told the classic joke that started out.
2 flies land on a piece of shit.
Jackie saying that. That was like Babe Ruth dropping the bat and watching it go.
That was the most flattering thing. Well, you told me that when I got off stage. I almost.
That
shit.
alone destroyed. That got it. Dan, you were there, right?
Yes,
that got a 10-minute left. I said,
every night my act, I say 2 flies land on a piece of shit, and then I break character and I walk around the stage and I say to people. And I explain how I told jokes my whole life, and I went to college, blah, blah, blah. And I say, in 60 years of telling jokes, that is the best setup to a dirty joke in history. It's like Michelangelo's David or Lemaire. It's art, and how can you go wrong? And then I tell a joke, and it goes into the toilet, not to make a bad joke.
But that's perfect because you can't get better. And that is true. There's that setup. There's no fat on it. You can't add, take away. It's a perfect amount of words. And what makes me laugh about it so much is it was a great crowd, and he always Cuban, God bless him, is like an old school guy. But I just think of some of the jerk offs, the pretentious bores who might be like NYU film students, like expecting political. 2 flies land on a piece of shit. Yeah. That's what funny is, guys. Just shut. You're not funny.
Yeah,
no one you know is funny at the coffee shop.
Right.
When you're checking your emails on a Tuesday morning.
I tell people, if there's a joke in my act that I tell, and I say, listen, if you don't think that's funny, I don't care about you.
Right.
You know what joke I tell?
I don't care.
The guy goes in the bar and there's a beautiful blonde, and behind her is a sign that says cheese sandwich $5, hand job $50. And he says, "You want to give her the hand jobs?" And she's, "Yep." He says, "Wash your hands, get me a cheese sandwich." Which is just beautiful.
Let me tell you something. If you don't think that's funny, I don't want to meet. I don't want to meet you.
You got to hear my new one.
I don't want to meet you.
You got to hear my new one.
Wash your hands and give me a cheese.
This is my new one.
Wait a minute. What's the setup again? Because I'm telling that to everyone I know. Wait a minute. What's the sign say?
A guy walks in a bar. There's a beautiful blonde barmaid. Behind her, the sign says cheese sandwich $5, chicken sandwich $7, hand job $50. And he says, "Are you the one that gives hand jobs?" And she says, "Yes." He says, "Well, wash your hands, get me a cheese sandwich." That's just so beautiful.
That's perfect. Oh, that's so great.
So here's my 2 new ones. I hope I did that.
Go right ahead.
You're
going to follow that. Good luck, dude.
The girl goes to the gynecologist, and she says, "Doc,
of course she did.
Doc, I'm freaking out. I keep finding postage stamps from Costa Rica in my vagina." And he examines her. And
Wait, there's more?
He says, "Lady, those aren't postage stamps. Those are the stickers from bananas." And this is the most disgusting.
But think about how racist and great that is. It's so disgustingly racist. And then we're going to build a wall. You know what? Trump should tell that joke every night before he says build a wall. Right. Every night he should tell that joke.
So people will laugh through the whole wall thing.
Oh, you should tour with him and tell that joke before he says build a wall.
Oh, that fucking guy. Oh, God. Let me tell you this. Now,
we'll
see,
get
you got
into
me
that
all
later.
bummed out, so I can't tell the joke.
Go ahead.
No, the girl goes to the gynecologist. She says, "Doc," not the gynecologist. Hold on. You got me
You're mixing up jokes.
You got me all. You say Trump, and it's like Niagara Falls.
We'll get into that.
A girl goes to the doctor and says, "Doc, I got diarrhea. Can I take a bath?" He says, "If you got enough."
Oh, my God. Oh, that's terrific. I could actually still eat and hear that joke. I mean, those are perfect. Those are jokes.
Thanks for the flattery. And, you were great.
mean,
I was great. That show was like boom, boom, boom,
everybody
boom.
killed, man.
I just really
everybody hit a fucking home run. And people did tweet about that. And you could tell they were normally not compliment-giving motherfuckers. They said that really was, as far as just crowd reaction, maybe the best stand-up show ever. Like as far as 5 guys doing stand-up in an hour
and doing so short.
Yeah, you do 10 minutes each. And again, you know, you're talking to guys. All of us are headliners, so you could do an hour in your sleep, and you know, you're just warming up. Probably you're in your 4 to 5 jokes, whatever.
And the beauty of it is, it wasn't like if you could do a charity show where everybody's going to do 12 minutes.
Right.
Nobody does 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Everybody's 45 minutes, and by the time you get there,
Exactly.
you know. But this had to be timed out, so it was boom, 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 boom. You know.
And Gilbert, teed one up for me. This is how easy it was. Gilbert basically had to introduce me, and basically goes, "Here's the ugliest guy. If this guy had AIDS, he'd look better," like stuff like that. And that's Gilbert saying it, so he just gives me the easiest line.
Just wonderful.
Yeah, I walk up and I go, "Thanks, John Stamos." And that gets like 10 minutes. It was that kind of night where
that was the most beautiful comeback.
Well, he teed it up. It was so
right. He put his chin out.
Yeah, exactly. And we all swung. And it was all the kind of guys where if you put your chin out, we're swinging. And it was good to see. I'll tell you what, it was good to see audiences that are usually uptight now. Unfortunately, very uptight. Easily loosen up a little. They were like an old crowd.
And I just don't give a fuck. I laugh. I'm an equal opportunity. I mean, I just laugh.
You shouldn't give a fuck.
I laugh as hard whether they're laughing or not.
Right.
So who cares? It's I'm gonna enjoy myself. It's up to you if you want to join in.
Well, what is it going? How's it going with you with the stand-up? Do you notice that crowds are a little more? Well, you mentioned Trump. Let's get into that. Trump are you, as a comedian, you got to like the fact that he's out there because it's just nonstop shit.
You know what? Yeah, but it's so scary and so horrible.
It is, right?
You know what I mean?
Well, politically, you never got into politically. Have you always been kind of that hippie left winger?
I could care less about politics, but he scares the shit out of me because
in particular, what just like the racist aspect, whatever people say, or the financial shit.
You know what? It's a classic thing. You know when I don't enjoy what Trump says?
Right.
When he opens his mouth. I mean, I hate to be.
Well, he's been a celebrity in a sense. You guys with Howard, you have a parallel to his fame. You guys got really big in the same city that he did around the same time.
And
it was very 80s vibe back then. You guys,
him and Howard were very chummy.
Yes, you guys, Eddie Murphy, the bling, look, it's 80s now. Fuck the 70s and 60s. We're about the fact that we're successful. We're in your face, kind of funny. We're not worried about the sensitive Vietnam protesters anymore. We're making that turn to we cut our hair and we're fucking funny and making money.
We're playing the game to an extent.
Right, and making money. And Trump is on that level too. And you're right, you guys were friendly with him. But it's odd that you have that take of listen. A lot of people think he's going to make us all broke because of his. But he's going to have to hire if he gets in. Hire people in his cabinet. They're not going to let him do crazy shit.
Who knows?
But here's the thing: in any other time frame, he wouldn't get in if Hillary Clinton wasn't the worst candidate of all time. I mean, I can't believe how many people hate her.
It's unbelievable that the whole country hates both candidates. Like, how the fuck did we weasel it down to two people that everybody hates?
That's what happened.
It's almost,
in a way, you're like all the race. You go, listen, anything but another black guy.
It's just beyond.
It is weird because Hillary every day. You'd think that she, if you just looked at a picture of the two of them, well, she's a nice elderly lady, and with a fat ass, and you want to feel sorry for her. And then she speaks, and she sounds more like Hitler on the stuff than he does. No. She yells out. I say it's like Gilbert telling the aristocrats joke. She's screaming all everything, and she's got that.
We're gonna get Donald Trump
like a shrill. Like she's annoying people, and he's just got to go. What an annoying broad, and people clap. He might get in. I don't know. But
the only true thing that he has said is that he could murder somebody on Madison Avenue and it wouldn't affect his constituency.
Hopefully he won't try that. Hillary might push him to do that just to test it.
But he reversed himself completely. They're playing tapes of things, and it's like apples and oranges, and it's like, so what?
They're playing Stern era stuff from when you were there and me. It's funny. I keep thinking, like, a couple times I hear you giggling in the background, and me, and I'm going, oh God, I hope I don't say some stupid shit right now. But I forgot. I said, like, fuck women. Like, what? But here's the thing. Something came out with the emails today where now they're finally going, and this might happen, actually. They might throw Joe Biden in, like, last minute, and no one will give a fuck on that side, and he might beat Trump. Just because he's so in the middle, and he's not Hillary or Trump. They might vote for him because of that.
Right. He's not them.
Right. But he's 90. They're all old. Trump, by the way, they gave his birth date on a special they did on him, June whatever, 1946, which means in 3 weeks he's turning 70 years old. I don't know he was that old. He's 70.
Oh, yeah. He's no spring chicken.
How old was Reagan? Was Reagan 70 when he got the presidency?
Yes.
He was.
At least that. Maybe more.
Well, nowadays people stay young because he looks young and maybe he'll last another 10 years. But and then those kids, his two oldest boys look like Hitler Youth. And they're ready to take over.
Oh, Jesus.
Smoking
And what was
out
Kennedy? Kennedy was 42?
40. What did you say, Dan?
5 minutes. We're going to call Joe.
To what?
We're going to call Joe.
Oh. All right. Well, we don't have to call. But you really want to call him still? I'm having fun with Jackie.
Don't get Joe mad at me.
Do you know Joe Buck?
No. Just from Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah, well, Buck.
And I know Sylvia Miles still.
Oh, we'll keep Jack then. Let's take a break and I'll look at some shit about Buck. And Jack, you can stay, right?
I'm not going anywhere.
There's our entree to Jackie. Jack will hang out when we talk to the great Joe Buck. And
I would love that.
All right, hang out. Back after this.
You baby gorilla.
We're on.
Uh-oh.
Okay, well, listen. Again, this is the night of 1,000 stars. Jackie Martling and Joe Buck in the same show. For me, it's Jesus. This is good stuff, and it's people in my history. And as far as I'm concerned, these are both good memories. I don't give a fuck what people say.
Me too.
But so the great Joe Buck is here now, and Joe and I. There you go. Joe and I, of course, many people know, are linked forever, pretty much forever. And once every maybe 4 or 5 months, Joe and I speak again. Something usually spikes it. I got a call from the people at HBO, but it wasn't really what I ended up doing for them. A guy named Bill Simmons at ESPN wanted me to do an interview, and he wanted to ask me about Joe Buck. And I said, sure, but let me talk to Joe first because I don't want to do anything that Joe might have a problem with. He had no problem with it at all. He goes, well, sure, I know Bill. It's interesting, though, Joe, what we talked about. Can you believe all these years later people are still interested on a big level in the relationship me and you have?
Just check my Twitter feed, and
it's unbelievable, right?
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people are like, "Do you remember the night that Artie Lange owned you on your HBO show?"
Owned you. I love that people think I tried to do
that.
Like,
no, don't remember it. Refresh my memory. I got nothing.
Well, again, people love it. I try to tell them. I can't reiterate this enough. And again, I'm glad Jackie's here because it's similar. People thought me and Jackie, like for 1 second, had a problem with each other. I'm like, no, where did that happen? I was the biggest fan of the guy, and then 6 months after he left the show, I came in. There wasn't even a how do you do at the door?
And people are kind of like, you walked in and picked me up and threw me out of my chair and sat down,
In a way, like Joe, I was so flattered. Joe asked me to be a part of this HBO show he was doing. It was live. And I told the people with Bill Simmons, I said, you're going to hear what I tell everybody because it's the truth. I don't have to remember it. It's what I really think. You had Chad Ochocinco on that night, Joe, and you had Brett Favre on, and both of them were supposed to make, at the time, people don't remember this in the world of sports, huge announcements about what was going on in their career. And both was about, are they coming back? And Favre, it was enormous. Is he coming back or not? And Ochocinco, too. Okay, that being said, two great guys, but without a football uniform on or an enormous announcement to make, they're not exactly Sammy Davis. You know what I mean? I mean, no one. Johnny Carson. If Johnny Carson and Steve Allen fucked and had a kid, that kid could not have made them interesting, unless they made an announcement.
That exact thing was running through my mind while I sat out there.
Well, I'm saying, in other words, Eddie Murphy in the red leather suit would have had to do the honeymooners bit to make that, unless Brett Favre is wearing a uniform or making an announcement.
Right.
That people care about. He's not exactly a young Albert Brooks on the Johnny Carson show.
You know what that reminds me of? When we were in Abbey Road, Howard was going to have on Bill Wyman's 14-year-old girlfriend, and her publicist said to Howard, she doesn't want to talk about Bill Wyman. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, listen, can she fart? Can she fart brown sugar?
We'll talk about her 7th grade class.
Can she fart the riff to bitch? because otherwise she's out of here.
Out of here.
Yeah. Oh, well, again, the greatest stuttering John question, you might have wrote this, Jack, is when he said to Fred Gwynn, because Fred Gwynn was painting actual paintings and didn't want to talk about the Munsters. Didn't want to talk about the Munsters. So John says to him, when you do a this had to be Jackie. When you do a painting, Fred, do you sign Fred Gwynn Herman Munster? then there's a huge pause, and Fred Gwynn goes, John, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that question.
Yeah, but Fred Gwynn's voice was so low, he goes, no, John. Oh, man.
Yeah, because Yvonne DiCarlo wants to talk about nothing but the Munsters. So again...
Did you think Vincent Van Gogh was ever a vampire?
And then, big fan.
Like that, man.
What are you going to talk about when he played the judge in My Cousin Vinny? So, the two Utes. So again, but
there wasn't a soul in that movie when all of a sudden he was the judge.
Yeah.
Everybody, Herman!
No shit. They couldn't write a joke afterwards because everybody's going to say that in the movie there. Imagine the Black Theater. Forget about it for 4 years. He the motherfucker from the Addams Family. No, he not.
Not him.
That's Jan Aston.
Not him.
Joe can't laugh at any of this. He works for corporate. Okay. But so I'll get him fired from another job.
I've laughed at all of it.
Get fired from another fucking
Coming
job.
on your podcast is me just dodging bullets for half an hour. And then I hang up.
He's dancing in between the raindrops. But my point was, what Joe did prove that night, though, was with a good creative staff behind him, which everybody needs, clearly he could have, without question, held his own and did a great job hosting a show on HBO. He had sports street cred because he had been in the booth for so long, doing a great job. He's clearly like one of the funnier guys, hipper guys. He's young doing it. He's got a bloodline with Jack Buck. There's no reason not to have him do it. And they both Brett Favre and Ocho Cinco gave you nothing. And it's a live show. And so they're saying to me and Paul Rudd, and at the time, I swear to God, I should have been hipper. I was older. I didn't know Jason Sudeikis. I didn't know who he was.
Think about that panel. I had you, Rudd, and Sudeikis sitting there.
Right. And, Paul Rudd, a movie star, and by that point he'd been in 5 classic comedies already. And Sudeikis on SNL and had already killed, even though, listen, he's a modern-day Warren Beatty. Look at his fucking list of pussy. Holy shit.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, I know, Joe, you can't talk about it, but holy living Christ.
No, but I laughed.
Yeah, January Jones he was dating back then. And he fucked the sanity right out of her. And I've been to a couple SNL after parties since he's dated Olivia Wilde, and may I say, as in the words of Ralph Cramden, ho ho! When he sees Burt Wiedemeyer's wife, may I say, Burt, ho ho! But here's the thing. I was the only stand-up, and Jackie will relate to this. Paul's a movie star, not used to an audience, and Jason's a sketch comedy guy. So when a crazy comic like us gets a laugh, we it's like fuel to a dickhead. I mean, we keep going.
Absolutely.
And I thought I was helping. I tell everybody, I thought I was helping Joe because they gave him. First of all, Joe, going into that segment after Joe Namath was good. You were great. That segment was great. And the audience was good; they were with you. But did you have any sort of hostility? Maybe that's the wrong word, but sort of aggravated a little bit with Ocho Cinco and Favre for giving you nothing.
No, I kind of completely fucked it up because Ocho Cinco. I said, hey, sometimes you, in the past, have hung your quarterback out to dry with stuff you said about Carson Palmer. And he's
wow.
He goes, yeah, give me an example. I haven't done that. It's like, yeah. Remember the time when you said, so it was a good lesson. I mean, look, I was learning, and as you and I have talked about before, it was live. It wasn't like the fake, hey, it's whatever live. It was really live.
As live as it gets.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't cut. Now let me go think of it, and we'll come back.
No. Ocho Cinco is a guy, the most interesting thing he'd ever done. And
the fact that you were on TV proves it was live, Artie.
Thank you. I deserve that. But, you and Paul Rudd talking about your college stories was a good way to start off the segment. Clearly.
Yeah, thanks.
Paul needed a life jacket. And I threw him one. Unfortunately, the life jacket had the word cocksucker on it.
Right.
But Chad Ochocinco, the most interesting thing he did up until then was he and this is crazy, he changed his legal last name to his number on the Dolphins in Spanish.
In Spanish.
He was 85, number 85, changed his name to Ocho Cinco. And I used to do a joke in my act. I said I did a similar thing. I changed my name to my cholesterol level, which is Artie Cuatro dos Ocho. It's on my last special, which you can get on demand now. But yeah, so again, I felt, let me go in here, and if he goes to me, let's get it going again. And
I told you before in the green room or whatever, I said, hey, I'm a huge fan, obviously.
It was the Greenberg room. We'll call it that.
It was the Greenberg room, and I came in and I said, hey, when we get up there, light me up. Make fun of me, give me shit, I don't care.
You did.
Let's just
right.
I was like, give me crap. I don't care. Let's
and
have
Ross
fun.
Greenberg, who, by the way, I'm a huge fan of the sports documentaries that have his name on it, man, are just some of the best shows ever. And I said, okay.
Oh, God, you're just kissing ass because you got
Look,
a show
I
on
do
HBO.
yeah, like that's going to happen. I, by the way, thank you for that lead, and I will be on Crashing as a regular coming up in October. But Judd Apatow wrote it. Thank you so much, Joe. You can leave now.
Yeah.
But
the only reason why I'm on.
No, I got to tell you, I never had a good relationship with HBO. A friend, Sam Simon, before he became an asshole and died, pitched me to the people there after I did the Aspen Comedy Festival, which HBO runs, and they said he said, could Artie Lange be the lead voice in this cartoon he was pitching? And they said, we think Artie Lange is an ogre. That was the word they used. I said, does that mean I'm going to be the next Shrek?
After the show that you did, on my show, they, as we've joked before, they wanted you deported. I mean, it was ridiculous.
I never saw bigger vitriol in my life.
We're on at 10:30 at night on HBO. You can't say that's what pissed me off because and we've done this before, but I'll say it again. I get lumped in with the HBO side, and I was on your side, which is why I called you afterward and I said, look, I don't care what they say. I'm happy you went on, and I'm glad you did what you did, and I don't care. If they can't handle it, and if HBO Sports is too highbrow or too precious for that, then I don't want to be a part of HBO Sports.
Well, I felt that. Here's what I was worried, and that's nice, Ian. You were like that from the beginning.
That's really having your back.
But here's why. Here's the thing, Jack, and Jackie knows this. I was worried about Joe's situation in life, not because of me, but because the Howard fans can be crazy. And I said, I don't want the Howard fans, who are very nice and loyal to me, to think Joe was in that category.
And pick up the mantle against him.
I don't want it to become a Chevy Chase thing where Joe has to call and say, make them stop. From the beginning, I was like, no, you got to know, Joe could not have been fucking cooler, and it's not his problem. I left there. Paul Rudd said to me, and he was nice enough to confirm this later, after I got all those laughs, he said, you realize what you just did is legendary. Because
yeah, and he's one of my oldest friends, and I was like, "Hey, why don't you crush up some more Vicodin for Artie then, while we're in commercial break?"
Listen, some spilled, and he picked it up. But I said, "Thanks, man. That makes me feel great. You were really cool. Your wife had a fake smile plastered on her face.
Right.
Michael Irvin hadn't gotten black on me yet, and he was still corporate. And I left thinking I did a great job. I really did. I thought, oh God, I did good for Joe because he needed it. So I go to sleep thinking that. I wake up the next day. I was with a lovely lady that night, and she, she proved to me what she did to me, that I did a good job. And when you bomb, you don't get anything. Jackie knows that.
Oh yeah.
And so she thought I did a great job. The next day, I go to work. I had to be at work the next day. Talk about work ethic. I get there at 5:55 a.m. and Howard goes to me, "Just see the New York Post?" And I go, "No, you're in." I go, "Well, man, I thought the headline's going to be Lange saves Buck." Okay, Lange own show on HBO. It says Lange banned from HBO Sports forever.
Wow! And look how that's dented your life.
No, but I'm saying it's going to really cut into my income.
Little did I know that 8 months later, so would I. Banned from HBO Sports for the rest of my life.
I said, Howard, I can't believe this. I read the article. I said, Howard, you got to let me do one thing. I could give a fuck about me because I knew it wasn't going to hurt me. I said, I got to defend Joe here because I don't want the fans to think for a second. And he let me do that. And you could not have been fucking cooler from the beginning. And also, you convinced them to let me do this. I was on the second show. The band lasted for about 20 minutes, by the way. We did a hold open that you insisted on.
Well, I said, if we don't do this, the HBO told me not only first of all, they said yes to the cold open that I wrote and pitched, and then they said, you know what, no, we're not doing it, and not only are you not allowed to do the cold open, you're not allowed to reference Artie Lange in the second show. I said, well, then I quit.
That? Can you? Did you really? You really said that?
Wow.
I swear to God, I
that's
said, I have a
unbelievable.
day job. I'm working at Fox. I said, if you don't let me walk out there, I said, I live with this. If you don't let me walk out there in front of this audience and in front of this TV audience, I'm out. I don't care.
Well, good
Fire
for you,
me,
man.
I quit, whatever. And
Good
they
for
said,
you.
all right, fine, but it better be funny. And after that show aired, and after we did the cold open, and the crowd in the theater went crazy
They
for
loved
it.
it. They loved
It
it.
was the first question that somebody asked me because I would take questions before the show. And then afterward, Ross Greenberg came up to me and was like, it was the right thing to do. Good job. I was
Wow.
like, well, no shit. That's the way I live my life. If you can't laugh at yourself, especially in sports in this day and age where everybody's got, sports fans are crazy.
They are.
And they think that if you're not banging the drum for their team, you're the enemy. If you can't laugh at that, you can't do your job. And I said, I'm laughing at it, making fun of it, and enjoying it. And if we can't do it, then I don't want to do the show. I don't care. It's not worth it.
Wow,
So
good
forget
for
it.
you. And that proves, and you had HBO with sports, and you had the Stern fan things. It could be a nightmare unless you quell it, and you did it perfectly, by the way. And that's another reason that proves that you rolled with the punches and immediately called an audible for the second week, and it was the right order. And Ross Greenberg saying that, look, maybe he's under pressure. I don't know. I almost felt like I wanted to apologize to him, but he as well said, look, Art, go nuts.
No. Look at
go
me.
with
Hey,
Joe.
Listen, this is a live show. It's on HBO. It got a huge number. It did a great rating. By the way, they're not allowed to talk about ratings, so if you're going there,
It's hilarious.
whatever show you're on, they don't talk about ratings, but the rating was bigger than what was there before. I was
Wow.
like, what do you mean we can't talk about ratings? The rating not only was bigger, but it grew during the hour.
Wow.
I was like, well, okay, so this is bad somehow that Artie Lange is on there doing that and that people are talking about it. You did a thing with Letterman. You guys are talking about it. That's somehow bad. I work at Fox. Say what you want about Fox, but the guy that was there would have been like, hey, this is – who knows what you're going to see next time on Joe Buck Live. Tune in. And you have to take advantage of it. If you're going to stomp your feet and cry – then, that's not a place I want to be.
I'll give you the name. I'll give you 2 words, the name they need. David Hill. How about that guy?
The best.
The best man's man of all time, who, when I was on Mad TV, took a liking to me. This guy's Australian guy. I just saw him in L.A. for the first time in 7 years. He made sure I was, he called me in rehab, David Hill. Big Australian guy. Was Rupert Murdoch's right-hand man. He was in charge of sports. And he took a liking to me and is one of the biggest people in the history of my life. And Joe will tell you, he's a man's man. We needed a dose of David Hill in there.
Yeah, well, he doesn't need Twitter and all this other stuff to tell him what's good. If he thinks it's good, it's good. If he doesn't, then he doesn't. And he's in charge, and until he's not in charge, he's going to put the people in place to do the job that he wants. And that's how it was then. That's how he is now. He just produced the Oscars.
Yeah.
He had Chris Rock there. He's just not scared. I'm not used to working for people that are scared.
He lets talent do what they want. And you were coming from a thing with Fox Sports where, honestly, by that time, you had done this, you had taken this legacy your father left with baseball mostly, and you took it, and you, by that time already, were the voice to a whole generation of both with Aikman football and with McCarver baseball. And it's all ratings. It's all about ratings, and you're coming from that okay, black and white. Is it good? Is it not good? People laugh. Did they not laugh?
But here's the hard thing for me is when I'm doing that, people, you hate my team, you don't hate my team, whatever. It doesn't matter. But they don't know. They think they know you because you're a play-by-play guy on TV, so you're automatically just a dork and a somebody that they wouldn't want to have dinner with. And it's like, okay, here it is, HBO. I've got a chance to do my own thing and be myself. And that's why you do the show, and then that's why you regret that you only get to do 3.
That's what sucks. Yeah, that's so frustrating. In the old days, you think
Howard, take Howard, take Fallon, take Letterman, take Conan,
Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson. After 3, somebody's going to go, you're done. It doesn't work.
That's like someone going to Johnny Carson at NBC on October 4th, 1962. It's not making it.
Right.
No, you got to. You're right. That's such a good point. Where it's so frustrating nowadays. If you don't do American Idol numbers week 2, you have to evolve. And like we talked about this with Jackie with the Stern show, it took a long time organically for you to figure out
work in progress.
to write a joke for him and put it in that thing. You can't not do it. It takes a lot of fucking time. And I did. I felt so in my head. I'm going, and of course, everyone loves Joe's impression of me. I left Jackie like this. I left Joe an voicemail. I was all guilty about did I get him fired or not? And how'd I sound, Joe?
Look, man, I'm sorry. I know you're trying to make a living, and it's not my intention to hurt anybody. Listen, anything I can do, you name it, I'm in. I'm your guy.
Does Paul Rudd need somebody's legs, bro?
Please don't make a mockery of this.
Perfect Stern reference. No, exactly. That's how I felt. And Joe called me back, and I'm like, I said, you got kids.
Joe called me back, and I was like, look, man.
The one thing people can agree with on Twitter, they love that fucking impression. That's for sure. It sucks. You're exactly right. You can't a comedy show. A guy. It proved to me if I'm an executive, I'm going, guys. Who else you want to get? Here's a guy with both sports credibility,
humorless,
right? Sports credibility, and a guy who can host something and tell. You proved to them you could tell a joke, set it up right. Who else are we going to get to fill this spot? Let it ride, man. Artie's not on every fucking week. You hate him, so he's got a job he's happy with. Fuck it. And the next time,
the rating was high, by the way. I mean, that's kind of burying the whole lead. If it is all ratings, then okay.
And if they're on the fence,
go.
if they're on the fence about something, right? Here's one that tips it the other way in Joe's direction is the ratings. And you're right, I forgot about that. The next time I did Letterman, which was a couple weeks later, it wasn't even on the pre-interview. Dave on the air brought up to me, "What about the Joe Buck thing?" And because he's a big sports fan, by the way, loves you. Letterman, has
that was cool. I got to do it before he left, which was great.
Respect for your dad, like you would think, and he thinks you carry that mantle great. Letterman does like the guys. He likes edgy comedy, but he also respects like what you represent and the fact that you could do both and look good doing it and sort of classy with it. And like Letterman's moment would be that time me and DePaulo were doing our show and we got you to hear you did your father's catchphrase for Game 6 of the and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Right.
Me and Nick got chills, like the fact that you did your father, you got a chance to do that. And
it just fit because not only was it Game 6 of a World Series and a team coming back, but it was a St. Louis kid who hit it.
The Cardinals, and that kid's from St. Louis, right?
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
It's godsend to a sports fan, and look, you're right. Like we both went on, and you're doing great. I went on to stab myself 9 times on heroin, and but I'm sitting in the exact spot I did that. But I'm interviewing Joe and Jack.
Are you wearing more clothes?
I'm not wearing a red shirt this time.
Okay.
But listen, another thing I want to talk to you about. I know I got limited time here, but
I'm all right. I'm good.
So the message was always, Joe could not have been fucking cooler, and the message was always that I didn't get this out maybe as much as I should have. That he did a great job. You deserve to give. You look at that pilot and you go, all right. Keep going. Why not? There's no reason not to keep going with this. And
it feels like a freaking lifetime ago, though.
Dude, you're
so
right.
Long ago.
Absolutely. That was 4 relapses ago. So Paul Rudd, by the way, goes on to make 50 of the classic.
Right now he's Ant-Man.
50 classic comedies. He's got $50 billion, and I'm still talking. Yeah. I'm talking to you on my couch with one sneaker I can't find. But I got Jackie to my left and Danny to my left, and that's all I need. So let's talk about what you did recently. You worked for my old boss at Chris Long at DirecTV, and you did these interviews, which I got to tell you, man, you interviewed Derek Jeter, best interview Derek Jeter's ever given. And as a Yankee fan, that's a big deal for me. And you got to, of course, by the way, did you get out of the hospital from fake laughing at Chris Long's jokes?
Yeah. I pulled a groin. I tore a
Then what did Dan Patrick say, Chris? You're kidding me. You can't laugh at that.
The best thing about Derek was that he sat there for, God, it was 2 hours. When's the last time?
Yeah. And
he's
not
ever
fucked.
suffered
And
that.
when was the last time he sat there for 2 hours and didn't come?
Never. And I called him a bitch. I called him a bitch on the show.
Yeah, he didn't. When's the last time Derek Jeter did anything for 2 straight hours and didn't get a game-winning hit or come?
Yeah, he's playing
Right.
Playing with himself. No, listen, I come from North Jersey Italians, and my whole uncles, we were against interracial kids until Derek Jeter. Now we're introducing black guys to white chicks. We need a shortstop. Of course, Joe can't laugh at that. It's corporate. But listen, let me ask you one thing about Jeter. You on air, really, you got a lot of stuff out of him, and it is hard. I mean, you're talking about a guy. Some of even the scandalous stuff is so funny that he would, when he fucked a chick, he would give her a gift bag on the way
I got
out.
that out of him. I made him bring it up.
How about that? I mean, and my joke was always one of them was something in the bag was a Bernie Williams jazz CD, which I think you could get for free.
Well, how many do you think Bernie has under his bed right now?
How does that come to you? I got an idea. I think I'll give a gift bag.
How much pussy do you have to get?
Jesus.
Even Mick Jagger to come
Well,
over.
the way the whole thing unfolded was I said to him, I've heard that when you have even
I've heard.
What?
You said I've heard. That's great. I've heard from people.
Yeah, I said I've heard from people that you make your friends check their cell phone when they walk into your condo. And he said, you believe that? He goes, you probably believe the gift basket thing, too.
Oh, well wait a minute. See, I was laughing because I thought you were going to say I heard the gift. Oh, you got that angle out of him. That's right. You brought something. Now, wait a minute. Did you do that on purpose? Be honest. Did you think he'd go there from that?
I was hoping to go there, but he brought it up. So I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. What's that story?
Never heard of that. And
then he went through it. He said, I had to talk to my mom on the phone for like an hour to prove to her that that wasn't true. I said, well, and it didn't make the cut. I said, well, let's just play devil's advocate.
I was going to say,
if you give a gift bag, what would be in it?
Because they ran with that story.
They did.
They said if the girl didn't swallow, you'd take things out of the bag.
It was directions to the nearest Planned Parenthood. No,
just so you know, if Derek Jeter hears this, I'm not laughing or being a part of that.
Look, I can't get my cousins to listen. You think Jeter's listening? So the only way Jeter's listening to this is if the hottest Puerto Rican stripper likes my show in Tampa right now while she's getting ready. Go ahead.
God.
I'm sorry. Of course.
Boy.
It could be a white stripper. I'm sorry. What did he say? What would be in it?
No, he laughed. We were joking around, and it never. I mean, he laughed, and the crowd laughed. It's in front of a crowd. He was not aware it was going to be in front of a crowd initially, and then he actually played to it. I thought he was great, but we didn't get into, like I said, what?
Of course not.
Headshot.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, that's the difference between me and you. I would have said 50 inappropriate jokes, and I'd be working at a car wash Monday. And
he's protective, and he reminds me of Aikman that way. He's protective.
He has
was
to
part
be.
of a famous team,
right?
And he was the center of the boring quote, and he never said anything. And there was a reason why.
The biggest,
it just wasn't worth it.
The biggest complaint from Yankee fans with Derek was, and I always say to guys, you know what? Okay, he's a boring interview. He is, and that's why you did have the best interview with him because you could tell you guys were almost like peers talking, and I enjoyed to see him like that. And if you could find that on YouTube, check out Joe interviewing Jeter because, especially if you're a Yankee fan. But the biggest knock on him as a fan was boring interviews, as the cliche, blah blah.
Right,
blah.
which is comical.
It's comical because I said, guys, listen, he's too good. You can't even give him shit for that. The clutch hits are too clutch. He's too fucking good.
The clutch hits. Yeah. How about bases loaded, 2 out in the 9th inning, leading by a run in Game 7? Hit the ball to Jeter. He'll make the play.
Yeah, exactly. Hit the ball. Defense, the whole thing. Especially, which is why it was hard to have him next to A-Rod. It was hard to see A-Rod take a little bit of his thunder because... First of all, we got 1 ring out of A-Rod. We probably would have got more for who knows what he caused in the fucking clubhouse. Secondly, he's next to the guy who's a direct opposite. He's not the class act. He's an asshole, and he's not clutch at all. And, it was
a weird dynamic, that whole thing, when he got there. And, Alex Rodriguez was the shortstop, moved over to third. Jeter, by the end of his career, wasn't going to flip over to second base or anything else. These guys are really proud, and Yeah, it was oil and water. I think they coexisted okay, but I don't think there was a great friendship there.
Right. I mean, and listen, Kate Hudson going to every game. What are the chances Jeter didn't fuck her? Had to be awkward. We'll move on.
You can't say anything.
We'll move on.
Cricket.
Cricket. Well, no. Again, I would have done the inappropriate thing. That's what I do. And listen, in getting him though, you won the mulatto.
Well,
Cricket.
That's terrible.
You won the mulatto, Jack. All right, we'll move on.
All right.
What do you get? Okay, Hannah Davis. You think he's getting married? What are the vibes? You think? I mean, and what?
I don't know. I heard all that ramping up like months ago. I haven't.
I got to send you. I got to send you a clip from the podcast. You'll love this, and you can laugh in private. It's me doing a bit where, if he was still alive, in the prenuptial agreement, Jeter agrees to just have sex with her, and every other thing a husband has to do, Don Zimmer does with her. Like go to her sister's wedding, like, yeah, listen, I'm coming to your sister's wedding. I'm Don Zimmer. Derek sent me. Yeah, what? I got to get Steve Madden. What's he do? Shoes? I got to pick them up too. All right. Jeez. Don Zimmer, I'm at the buffet, Derek. The wedding's over. It was boring. You're right.
Oh, God.
Send that to
this is bullet dodging 101.
But Joe, do me a favor. Danny's going to send that to you in private, and then I want to hear what you think. One more thing about Jeter, because I really, in all seriousness, off the air, and say as much as you want. Do you think he gets it? Do you think he does?
Totally.
Jeter, does he get?
I think you have to be smart to be able to do what I'm trying to do, which is navigate all the traps.
This, Joe. But do you think he gets like the meaning of it? Like he says, "I love the Yankees," and it meant a lot to me as a kid. Do you think he's aloof, or does that really the Yankees meant something to him? Truly.
No, he was a Yankee fanatic as a young boy.
Right.
It was his grandma's team. So there's no doubt in my mind. He gets it. He knows what he was. He knows who he is.
Right.
He's smart enough to just not. There's some sort of ego in it for other people. I'm including myself in that you want to do the funny quote or the smart quote or the something where eventually you're going to piss somebody off or throw a teammate under the bus or whatever it is.
Right.
He was smart enough to not do it. I admire it. I would tell you that if we were sitting at a bar. I'm telling you that right now. I am stunned that in New York in this day and age, you're Derek Jeter dating who he dated, being who he was on that team, signifying the captain and all that other stuff, and being as clutch as he was, that he kind of skimmed the surfaces of all that and never fell in.
He kept the lid on
remarkable.
He did, and that's a class act, man. And listen, he's the anti-Trump if you think about it. He's the direct opposite. And you know how many times I heard that Derek Jeter got loaded and said he wanted to build a wall around Mexico? I mean, all the time. And he would just let the good ones in, like Selma Hayek. You know how many times he said that John McCain's not a war hero? He keeps a lid on him. But you do like to hear he got there, because grew up in Michigan and summered in New Jersey, and you like it's good that. I'll tell you who gets the best actress award ever is his mom. That poor woman. How many different actresses in 20 years? Every year she had to listen to a different actress's career in the booth.
Right, yeah. Up in the luxury suite. Oh, really?
You're in Fast and Furious 6? That's
really?
Great, sweetie.
Saved by the Bell. I love that.
Really? You're in the Transformers? That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Do you know Mr. Jeter? Yeah. Okay. I'm the bore.
Would you like to sign my book?
Did you get a gift bag, sweetie? Because I have one here. Derek said I can give you the gift bag. Joe, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Are you now? What's going on? Are you gonna? First of all, the transition to McCarver. I'll end with this with you real quick. Talk about Tim McCarver a little bit, because that transition was. You guys were great, and talk about another class act. Everything's great now, but Tim McCarver, what did that mean to you working with him? Because you worked with your dad.
Hey, it's great. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
Tim McCarver's great.
And Jack Buck, and your father, Tim transformed from a guy who took orders he was very respectful of your dad. And my favorite thing was always like, Bonds got it. That's the way this one starts. Timmy will give you the lineup.
Right.
What was it like, the dynamic with him?
Well, their dynamic was not that great.
Right.
And, I think Tim came at it as the, 800-pound whatever.
Right.
He was the heavy at CBS when my dad was doing it. My dad wasn't even supposed to do it in the World Series with Tim until Musburger got fired. So
Right.
Musburger gets fired, my dad gets elevated. Now he's with Tim McCarver, who he knew forever as a player with the Cardinals and obviously the Phillies and all that other stuff.
Yeah, you forget about that dynamic. That's right. He was a Cardinal, yeah.
Yeah, the first time I met Tim, I was 4.
Wow.
And so their relationship wasn't that great, at least on the air. But then here I was as a 26-year-old lined up to do the World Series in 1996, and my partner's Tim. And I had to pull him aside at a seminar for Fox and say, look, I know it didn't work with my dad. I know you and my dad didn't get along well.
Right.
My dad was my best friend, but I'm willing to kind of put that behind us, and you and I are going to be judged on Joe and Tim, not Joe, Jack's son, and Tim, and let's make this great. And I will tell you this, Artie, I swear to God, and Jackie, over 18 years together, some of the most exciting high-pressure games.
Yeah.
He and I never had crossword. He was so in my corner and so behind me, and vice versa. It's the best partnership that I'm aware of for that long.
Well, think about that. That's why it is great that you got to talk to Jeter, because who's the voice as far as the main guy, the play-by-play guy of Derek Jeter and the World Series? It's you. You 96 is his first World Series.
And
it's his first, right, and it's his first full year as a Yankee, wins Rookie of the Year, and you and him and Tim, and you were the Jeter World Series era for the Yankees. Me and my uncles, when we weren't at the game, we tried to go to every game, and I lived in L.A. What a terrible time. I had to move to L.A. to do the biggest dream of my life, a network TV show with Mad TV, but all my buddies are at the games. So then I'm listening to you in Los Angeles. So you were always the guy telling me about even home Yankee games that I would have went to. And that's why it's so cool that you have that relationship with him. You think of Jeter the same way you think of Marv Albert with Jordan. You think of you with Jeter.
Well, we fell into it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Yankees were good in 95. They were a playoff team. There was no playoffs in 94. But as a Yankee fan, prior to that, it had been forever.
Right.
And now here's Fox in 96. By the way, here's Jeter and Joe Torre and Bernie Williams and Mariano Rivera and John Wetland and all, Andy Pettit, all these guys. And we got in at the same time and rode that horse till it was dead.
Right.
And we could not have been luckier.
Let me tell you something. The one, and they lost the series, so it's odd, but the 2001 series is the voice I hear. I think of you all the time. Jeter with Mr. November. And, the way I had just started on Howard. I was full-time, and I tell a story all the time. Scott Brocious hits that home run in that big game. I'm in the upper deck with my uncle, and I look at him with my Uncle Tom. I say to him, listen, if we stay for the end of this world, it's in the extra innings. If we wait till the end, I might not make it to the Stern Show tomorrow with traffic.
Right.
I had been full-time, Jack, you'll the pressure here. I had been full-time for 2 fucking days. I said, there's no excuse. If I'm late or whatever, if I go home and pass out, I'll be fired. 2 days and I'm late, forget about it. So, because that's what they were worried about with a comedian again, like, get here on time. I had been doing what I had to do, and I said, okay, my uncle was nice enough to leave. We heard Scott Brocious hit that home run on the George Washington Bridge. And I got home in time to hear you guys wrap it up. And I watched that and never went to sleep. And I had it on tape, and I watched you guys I watched the game again and heard you do the call, and then I went to the Stern Show.
I know that exact Sophie's Choice because I was watching Willie Nelson at whatever the place downtown.
Sophie's Choice.
And I knew that we were supposed to go in his in his bus and smoked pot after the show. It was 12:30, and he was still singing. And I'm like, and I had to go downstairs.
I can't be late. You're like, I can't
had
be
to go
late.
all the way downstairs to piss. And I said, you know what? If I go back up there, I go in that bus. And I just went out and got a cab. I blew off.
You got to be that
stoned
professional.
With Willie.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
That's our version of professional. I left and I got home, Joe. Yeah, and I watched it again. And I said, I got to hear Buck. I wanted to hear you guys call. I listened to it, watched Brochus at that Homer, and my uncle didn't talk to me for a year. But I got to Stern on time. And again, it's great. You think about that. It's awesome. And,
Well, you think about it, it was a month after 9/11.
Yeah. Oh.
And here you are in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium.
The emotion.
Take the politics out of it. The first pitch by George W.
He
Bush.
throws a fucking
great.
strike. How
From
about with
the
a
mound,
bulletproof vest from
with
the mound?
With a bulletproof vest, that was incredible.
Unreal.
And then the thing goes 7 games and it ends on the last pitch and the last swing. I mean, it's if you wrote a script like that, it'd be laughed at.
And you're married also with you. You know what else, Joe? You got to do Mariano Rivera. All those amazing Rivera saves. That's you. That's you talking.
He's
you know?
the best at his job in professional sports that I've ever seen, and I think will ever be. You can line them all up: NBA, NHL. He's the Gretzky of baseball. I mean, to be that good for that long in the postseason, regular season, whatever, to be that, he was incredible. That person just doesn't come along. He never screwed up.
And I want to get your thoughts on this. I'll leave you with this last question with Rivera, because this is amazing. He is so into baseball that his wife looks like Miguel Cabrera. Now, what do you think about that? Joe Buck's new show.
He hung up on me.
Well, now Miguel Cabrera when he first came in, not with no. Nothing. Okay. He's a very religious man. You're right, Joe. He really is the best ever, and we have
bring it back.
We have a gift bag for you.
Thank you very much.
Joe,
all the Bernie CDs.
Nothing makes up for that. We'll edit that out. We'll edit you laughing at that out. Joe, let me tell you something, buddy. I love you, and I look for you doing everything. What's your next thing you want to plug? You had something going on?
No, I'm good.
No, you got something. You have a show coming up.
He's opening for me at the brokerage.
I am. I'm going to do my Artie Lange.
Now, of course.
No, I the U.S. Open is next on Fox mid-June.
Now, was that something you want to do? Is that something that you like in your future?
It. Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with golf. So, U.S. Open at Oakmont in Pittsburgh.
That's great, man. I hope to see you do that for a long time. That'll be fun.
Me too. That'd be good news.
Yeah, and of course, after Tiger, no blacks. You're fine with it. Joe?
I think this is great. You can just do your line. You can do your joke, and there's just nothing.
Jackie's joke, real quick. 2 flies land on a piece of shit. Right.
2 flies land on a piece.
Tell him, real quick. Tell him the hand job joke. Okay, Joe. You don't have to laugh at this. It's not offensive. Just listen.
So, a guy walks in a bar, and there's a beautiful blonde barmaid, and behind her is a sign that says cheese sandwich $5, chicken sandwich $7, hand job $50. Yeah. And he says to the girl, "Are you the one that gives the hand jobs?" She says, "Yep." He says, "Wash your hands. Get me a cheese sandwich."
I can laugh at that.
Isn't that's one you can tell your kids?
Right.
There's no racial.
After they were in the audience of my HBO show, there's no limitation.
Joe, I love you, buddy, and we'll listen to the U.S. Open, and I'll talk to you later.
Pleasure talking to you, Joe.
The great Joe.
All right.
The great Joe.
See you guys.
Bye, buddy. He's great. Yeah, come on. How do you not like that guy?
Oh, that's great.
He's balancing it out, and you know what? Yeah, you can tell your kids that joke. I'm going to take a quick break and get my head right after talking again, and we'll come back and wrap it up with Jackie, and hopefully Jackie will accept my invitation to come in here once a month. I would love that.
I don't know if you're making that up, but
I'm not.
I love sitting here with you.
Just come here. I mean, it's on. Don't wait for Danny to call. But come here. Say, Dan. Artie said,
Artie said, Danny.
No, I'm just saying. Not even I said. That's you come in. You're my boss, brother. You want to come in, but once a month, if you'd like to come in, come in.
I will do that. I will take you up on that.
That's fair, because this cannot be more of a home run. But we'll wrap up after this. And great, Joe Buck. That was awesome. arguably my favorite guest. The fans love him. It's between him and I believe Drake the rapper. Do you know Drake the rapper at all? Have you met him, Joe?
No, I have not.
Real fighter, real tough guy. I had a run-in with him. I'll get into it later. But I might do a celebrity boxing match with him. Would you take a line on that? Those stupid celebrity boxing matches?
I'd love to put that one up.
Now, are you familiar with Drake? I mean, I know I got to get in shape, but
Oh, God.
what? I mean, he's younger than I am, African American.
He's only half, I think.
Oh, okay, fine.
I think you have a shot then.
I mean, remember Stuttering John used to fight on the Stern Show and stuff like that. I mean, we tried to get a line in the Atlantic City, but then it's illegal to sports betting. What do you think's going to happen with Atlantic City, John? Are they ever going to? I mean, everybody talks doom and gloom about Atlantic City. Do you hear anything about that?
Well, I remember back in 1978, I was actually going to go to work in Atlantic City as a dealer because I learned how to deal all the games in New York City, and I was going to go there. And at the time, they wouldn't accept any dealers that didn't come out of their New Jersey schools. So, but I remember going down there, and there was resorts at the time, and it was like 6 deep at the crap table to get. It was unbelievable.
Right.
Where they dropped the ball, Artie, to me, is that they were supposed to funnel some of that money back into the city, the casinos, and I don't think that program ever, got to full throttle, and I think that's where the shortcomings came.
Yeah, the money got funneled somewhere. I'm not sure where it got funneled.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know if you're still interested, but I know some dealers in Atlantic City, and I can make a phone call. I do know the cocaine trade is still very busy there.
Okay, so you could get me dealing one way or another.
Well, listen, I just think if you want to quadruple your business, you're in $1 billion business now. I can get you in $1 trillion business. If you just want to change your name to Jose Abello.
Okay, well, I could go. How about if I just go by Aveo?
That's even better. That's cooler too. It really flows off the tongue. I got to ask you something. As a sports fan, could you explain Stephen Curry to me how he shoots a basketball? He doesn't even look at the basket. Is he touched by God or something? Have you ever seen a better pure shooter of a basketball than Curry?
No, I have. I've never seen anybody shoot the ball the way he does, and what that does is that makes kids today think that they have a chance for the NBA, and you actually do. If you can shoot the ball like Steph Curry, you don't need any size whatsoever.
Right.
So there's renewed hope for short guys.
I mean, I can't even think. Look, Larry Bird, obviously you think of all the great pure shooters ever. But, I mean, Larry Bird, I hate to say this, is even a distant second. I never saw anybody shoot a basketball. And he really is he's the monkey wrench in the whole thing. You don't know what, you can't even, as a guy who puts lines down on a game, isn't he like the wild card? He could change the whole makeup of a game. The handicapping of it based on him just shooting those lights out shots, right?
Well, he not only a good shooter, but he releases the ball quickly, and to shoot from 1/3 court, maybe 10 feet past half court, he's probably a 35% shooter from there. It's sick.
He just launches it up like that. You're right. Like it looks like it's a planned play. We're just going to draw it up. Okay. Yeah. Curry's just going to shoot the ball from half court, and we'll get out of here. And it's undefensible. You can't. I mean, listen. Who's going to defend that? You can't defend it. You got to just let him do it and go with the odds. But
what you said, Artie, is making lines on that team. It was very difficult during the regular season. I mean, a team that loses only 8 games the whole year wins a lot of games by double-digit points. We had them 17, 18, 19-point favorites a lot of times.
Right.
And they covered. So it was you're right, it was a very difficult team to make a line on this year because people were going to bet him no matter what number you put up.
Right. Very popular. I mean, this kid is like his old man was a good shooter too, Del Curry. Excellent.
Yes,
shooter.
He was.
And but not like the kid. Just for a full disclosure here, there are other comedians in the room. and of course Adrian Iapucci.
No.
That was pretty good.
Say it again.
Appalucci.
Appalucci.
Hi, Adrian.
I'm Buffalo
Hi.
Chops. Adrian Appalucci. She is a very funny comedian, and her father was a big gambler, OTB guy. And did he bet with a bookie, sports stuff? Do you know?
I think he did.
And he would take you to the OTB.
Yeah.
And what you would just as a child, you would sit there.
We would go so often that the lady in the booth had our picture up on her wall. That's how often we went.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not.
Now, do you feel that was? Are you mad at your dad for that type of childhood? Do you have issues with that?
No, I mean, as a kid, you just think that's what everyone's dad's doing.
Right. But now, as an adult, you realize that no one does that unless they're a psychopath. Are you mad at him?
No, I mean, it was just easier. I thought about that like when he died, and I was just like, it's easier to not be upset.
Did you? Do you think about making excuses in life? Because I do that with my father. I say,
I think he was just like, a gambler. That was it.
Well, I say no. I say, look, Mom, I'd be an astronaut if Dad was a better father. Do you ever do that?
No. I still don't think I'd have the gumption to be an astronaut.
No, me neither. Again, we talked about that valedictorian thing. You see, they're doing away with it in North Carolina. You probably love that, John, right? I mean, you see, there's no competition anymore. You don't keep score in Little League in certain towns because a kid they want kids to be losers. No winners, no losers. Everybody's the same. So they don't keep score in a Pop Warner football game. And there's no more valedictorians at a school. So the smart kids don't even get that.
Why'd they take away valedictorians?
Because it shows that some kids are dumb. Like the dumb kids, it's not fair to the dumb kids.
But it's not just like two kids and one kid's smart, one's dumb. It means like a lot of other kids are dumb.
Here's the problem. You're speaking logic.
And that's, as long as you're with other people, you don't feel as bad being dumb.
Here's the thing. In North Carolina, the dumb people and the smart people all sound the same.
Yeah.
So you don't even know. Right? Here's the smartest guy in North Carolina. Here's how he sounds. Hey, you going to get some beer later? Here's the dumbest guy. Hey, you going to get some beer later?
But that's like a selling point to move there. If you're a little smart, you're like, I could have been the valedictorian.
Well, yeah, you sound like him at least. You sound like him at least. Here's the smartest guy in my school. Hello, how are you? Here's the dumbest guy. What's up, baby? Now you draw that conclusion. Now, John, do you think that's terrible? I mean, as a sports guy, you don't keep scoring Little League. You got to teach these kids that no, Derek Jeter's wrong in his health help video when he says if you put your mind to something, you can do anything. That's wrong. That's a lie. If that were true, how many kids are going to be outside Yankee Stadium with a mitt at 47 years old? So, look, I think I can do this. Derek Jeter said I can play short.
I'm not totally against it, Artie, because we just implemented that in the sports book. There are no losers.
Right. Yeah, you go to your bookie in Staten Island and go, listen, Derek Jeter told me I'm not a loser. He said if I put my mind to it, the bookie will believe that, even though I bet the Cavaliers getting 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the real world. As you bring up a good point, it's not reality, And I think in sports, sports is the greatest thing. In show business, if you're the son or daughter of a movie star, it's probably nepotism. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis, let's face it, when she was young, she was a looker, born with a penis. Of course, now she's going to have a separate bathroom. And Tony Curtis, her father, and as much as I love her, if Tony Curtis was not her dad, she'd probably be, working at a sporting goods store trying to sell you leg warmers. And that's it. Right. Barry Bonds was in the major leagues not because his father was Bobby Bonds, because, he hit a baseball farther and more often than anybody else until, he gained 40 pounds on his forehead one winter. And what's that? Don't you, I mean, sports is the one thing where it's pure, And in your business, John, you'll win or lose. I don't care if you're a celebrity, you're Michael Jordan, I don't care. You lost. Give us the money. Did you ever have to have somebody beat up in the NBA for losing too much money?
No.
Okay.
No, we don't have to do that. So, in the sports book, we set a line and we hope that's a good line, but we're not always perfect. We make mistakes. Sure. But the one thing we have going for us is 11-10, the vigorous. So, is that what Barry Bonds had going for him, the vigorous? Is that what Jamie Lee Curtis had going, was the vigorous?
Yeah, a vigorous. That's what she was born with.
Okay.
She was born with an extra vigorish.
That's right.
Did you hear that? You know that rumor, by the way, John, that she was born with a cock?
No, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, you don't hear the micro penis? That's a true transgender person. That's a rumor. I don't know for sure, but she supposedly was born with a cock, and they had to get rid of it. Your thoughts?
I don't have any.
All right, we'll move on, Mr. Corporate. No, that was a rumor, and she was hot. My God, I know she looks sort of mannish now, but...
No, she was beautiful.
Oh, at Trading Places, pickup trading. But when she takes her shirt off with her tits, she gets in the bed with Dan Aykroyd. You know how many times I paused that on the VCR, for Christ's sake? And by the end, it was all blurry, and I was technically jerking off to Dan Aykroyd's hair.
Oh, God.
Just his hair. The world is getting crazy. The safe place. How about this in college? I like you, John, because you're an old school guy, and you probably hate how the world. A safe place. You hear this? If you're in your safe place at school and you hear something offensive, they can yell and maybe sue the school because in their safe place they heard something offensive. Aren't we trying to get these kids ready for the real world? You know, you're in your safe place at college, and then you get on the 7 train to go to work when you get a job, and you're like, look. You call home, Dad, I told the homeless guy I was in my safe place, and he still urinated on my sneakers.
No.
They're not preparing for the real world. And sports is it. They got to gamble and see the black and white. That's it. You lost. Bye. Give me the money. And, of course, you're nicer about it. What's the worst situation you ever saw with degenerate gambling? Give me a Michael Jordan story real quick.
There are some guys that come in. You know, I don't really get into guys' personal business.
Right.
So I've got guys that gamble come in a lot, and they play and they win, they lose, and they're up and they're down. But I don't get into their personal. I don't get in their personal business to know. But if they get to a point, where they feel like they are, too far deep into it, and they are a gambler, you fill out. You're supposed to come to us, or you're supposed to go to our casino cage, and you're supposed to say, "Look, I'm a problem gambler, and I don't want to do it any longer. I want to stop." And if you do that, you're obligated not to take your bets any longer.
Yeah, but you
so
take your
this
money.
Is something that's nope, nothing.
Wait a minute, wait a second. Let me get this straight. That person then. You say we don't want your money for the night. You take the money he lost.
No, I'm talking about, and after you fill out that paperwork that you no longer want to be able to gamble. Once you do that, we cannot take any bets from you.
Right. No kidding.
Now, if you bet on the 6:30 game and it's 8:30, I can't help you at that point.
Well, you're filling out another form called "You're fucked." You're fucked form. Yeah, but you're still going to take the money, of course. I mean, and you have to take that person's money because they need to learn a life lesson.
Does that happen often, John, for people to fill out the form? Like, when was the last time that happened?
By the way, that's my trainer, Ben Kuzma.
Hey, it happens all the time in the casino business, and what it does, it's something that filters to all the departments. So I see it all the time that people have said that they want to be barred from gambling, and once that hits, it goes to every department, and we have to abide by it. So watch out for that person. So it's something that has kind of come into fruition over the last maybe 6 to 8 years.
I don't recall seeing that window.
It's the only profession where that happens. Like if you go to the gym in the hotel and you go, I never want to work out again. Can I fill out a form? You can't let me use the elliptical machine ever again. Now, is this a lifelong thing? Like in other words, when he fills that piece of paper out, do you, no matter what, for the rest of that guy's life, is there a way he gets out of it or no?
Yes. Now he could come back and rescind it and say, "Okay, I'm good now." And
so
he just fills out another form.
So basically, what you're saying it's meaningless.
Yes, exactly.
It's something to do. It's something you let him do while he's sobering up.
It'd be funny if you could limit it just to certain teams. Like, don't ever let me bet the Bengals ever again.
I can never bet on a white point guard.
Now that's it.
You know what it's like? It's probably the guy's wife, some annoying broad. She's the one filling it out. I tell him he can never gamble. Do you have the he can never gamble again form? Because, how about this? You have a form. We can never be late for my sister's shower again because he's at the craps table form. Do you have that form?
But can't they just go to another casino?
They could.
They could. Yeah, of course they can. It's meaningless. Look, read between the lines. John is saying they give them something to do besides killing everyone in the casino.
No.
Did you ever have that? How about that? Do you ever see something like potential for violence? Because they lost, on a lacrosse game at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I get it. When I worked down at the Mint Hotel back in 1979.
Sounds like a class.
I used to go over to the Horseshoe. If you guys remember that bit.
The Horseshoe, yeah, single deck blackjack.
Nice.
Yeah, and I would walk over there, and get a drink after work every night. And there'd be a lot of nights I'd say, why is that floor wet there? What's that? What's that red stain?
Where's that red stain? That's fantastic.
I mean, there were guys that were shot in that hotel for not behaving themselves.
Of course. Wow. Now, how realistic is Ocean's 13 with George Clooney? I think that I believe the whole movie except for the Scott Conn, Casey Affleck characters. They're not believable at all what they do. And the little Asian guy who gets in who can go inside the little the boiler for 14 days, and, without food. I don't believe any of that. Are you a fan of the Ocean's 11 movies with Clooney?
They're okay.
Give me your favorite Casey Affleck directed film.
That would be the movie that starts with an A. Did he direct that?
It's a self
movie that won the Oscar, Artie. What was it called?
It's a self-portrait film. It's called Asshole. Well, Casey, John liked that one. So, of course, Casey is the younger brother of Ben Affleck, and
right.
Yeah, and Ben, of course, is a big-time gambler. Speaking of celebrity gamblers, right? Did you hear he was barred? True story. He was barred from the Hard Rock Casino in Vegas, and where basically because he was too good. He was too good at blackjack, or counting the cards.
He was counting cards.
He was counting cards. Now, how about that? Isn't that fucked up? I mean, he's not doing anything. He's not bringing any outside instrument in. He's just using his brain, and he's beating the casino. And you guys are allowed. Look, it's a private property. Fuck off. You're too good. We don't want you in here. He won. He won $800,000 in 2 hours or something.
He was a gambler in town for quite a while, and the casinos have the right to do that. There are some guys that are pretty savvy when it comes to blackjack.
Yeah.
You being one of them, Artie. I know.
Yes, exactly. I did 4 stand-up shows in one weekend. I owed you guys $15,000. You know what I found is this is for the kids. Don't mix angel dust and gambling. Go right ahead. Killing with John tonight. So you're allowed to just tell it. You could say, look, this doesn't sound fair, but again, to those kids in the safe place, life ain't fair. You're out of here. Why? Because you're too good. You're beating us. That's not fair.
Too good.
Yeah, it's not fair. Bye. Who gives
They have the
shit?
right. They have the right to do it, and they have the right to do anything.
The name of my casino is Win. Okay.
Yes, they do. They do win.
Now, what about have you ever seen Ben Affleck in town?
I have not, but I know he's been coming to town for at least 20. When he was dating J-Lo,
right?
They were coming to town then, and I remember a story that was circulating around town where, he was a big tipper too, and
good. I hope so.
He was tipping pretty good, and J-Lo kind of told him put the clamps on that.
No
Look,
kidding.
Yeah,
what
you're
cheap
tipping.
Bitch.
You can't do that. You got to stop doing that. So that's I remember. So he's been coming to town for 25 years that I know of. I don't know how old is he? 45, 50?
I don't know. So Dan probably knows. Do you have his poster still there? Again, tip. Don't see Jiggly. How's that for a tip? How about that?
No, don't see that. But don't go to that one.
Well,
no.
what was J-Lo's problem with the tipping? What's up with that bitch? What's her problem?
I don't know. The rumor was that she just told him to stop because he was tipping too much.
She seemed a little controlling, huh?
Yeah, maybe. That's why he didn't up with her, did he?
Now, would J-Lo's ass take up too many spots at the blackjack table?
No.
Did you ever have to have an awkward conversation with her?
She's a big attraction here in town now. You know, she's got a show that she's doing on a daily basis, and it's selling out every single night.
You're kidding. What is it?
It's just, I don't know what it's called. The
She's
J-Lo
got a
show.
live show, like where she
Yeah.
sings?
Yep.
Really?
Sings and dances, yes.
Like Celine Dion?
Yeah, just like Celine Dion.
Now, how often have you, John, seen a guy lose some money where his kids can't go to college, and you're feeling melancholy, and you have a Chardonnay and go see Celine Dion? John, how many times has that done? I'm sure. I know you have a sensitive side.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit.
Sir, we have your form here where you can't gamble again. I'm allowed. Once again, I'm allowed to waive that. Go right ahead. Listen. I think if the Warriors, you're talking about basketball, if the Warriors are healthy, I think they're unbeatable for the next few years in a way. I mean, it's theirs to lose. Oklahoma City healthy is pretty good, but it's theirs to lose because of Curry. As long as he's got that shot going, I think it's LeBron is the wild card, but they're not getting LeBron anybody. What do you think of the Cavaliers' chances this year?
They're pretty good. When you talk about being a good team, the Warriors are going to be a good team for quite a few years. But the ultimate goal for teams is to win the NBA championship. Anything short of that is meaningless to them. And so I think where the Warriors may have made a mistake this year was chasing that record, to the most wins.
Right.
And when you do that, you kind of wear yourself out during the season. And when the playoffs come around, you're not mentally and physically 100%.
Right.
And so a lot of teams, if that's your ultimate goal, just screw everything else. Take your time off. You see the Spurs coach do it all the time. Gives the whole team off. Sometimes, every 2 weeks, he's not playing his main guys.
Yeah.
And his ultimate goal is to win it all. So if your ultimate goal is to win it all and you have a good coach, the Warriors, the Warriors are one of those teams that are going to be around for quite some time. A lot of young, not only Curry, there's a lot of guys on that team are young players and quality players.
I know one night we were drinking, and you told me by good coach you mean white coach, of course.
Oh, God. I'm curious on
not necessarily.
Popovich. How about
He's a good one.
He's as good as they come.
He's one of the best.
He's as white
he's
as they
one of the
come.
best. He's one of the best.
What about Steph Curry? Like both of his parents seem to be dark skinned black, but he seems white. Your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't see him either way, Artie. I see him. I see Steph Curry.
I can see.
I see him as. I tell you what I see him as. I see him as a fine young man who stays out of trouble.
Right.
And is a ambassador for the game. That's what I see.
Well, what I see is the real John comes out of the Bobby Slayton show at Hooters at 2 a.m. Bobby Slayton, this is a true story. 2007, I'm doing Mandalay Bay for Super Bowl weekend. My girlfriend Dana, that must have been 2006 then. My girlfriend Dana is with me, and we're practically engaged, And I was introducing her as my fiance, I think, at that point. And I said to Bobby Slayton this right after my show. Just me, Bobby Slayton, and my fiance backstage. I go, Bobby, this is my fiance, Dana. And he goes, hey, what's up, honey? Oh, do you want to go to Hooters and do some coke? I mean, the social graces of Bobby. I mean, Jesus. This is my fiance. Hi, sweetheart. Do you want to go to Hooters and do some coke? Your thoughts on that? Sorry. To my point is Del Curry somewhere found a white woman who's got a great outside shot. That's what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts on the WNBA? Is that just the worst thing you've ever seen?
I don't like it.
It's terrible. It's terrible because they're not good. They're not the best people in the world at it. The best people are men. That's what I'm paying for. I don't want to see the people who are like the 8,000th good at it.
Do people bet on the women?
Like it.
Yeah, they
yes,
bet on the
they do.
Yeah, they bet the under.
Well, no, they're playing against other women. Now, John, do you ever? I'm being dead honest. Do you ever try to get the menstrual cycles of those women?
If I can get that, that's a big advantage to me.
You think I'm kidding? I mean, I've lived with women. When they have their period, they can't make a sandwich, much less do a high pick and roll.
But right before their period, they're probably great.
Is that? Yeah, right. Exactly. Is that true, Adrian?
That's true too. That's the information that's real valuable for the WNBA.
Well, right
And
there, Adrian
unfortunately,
just
I don't get it.
Adrian just made you 80 grand right there.
You gotta get him right before.
Right before. That,
Yes.
you know, but during it, yeah, you can't get anything out of him.
Adrian, you're pretty good at this. You got any more tips I might be able to use?
Well, yeah. Well, Adrian's a
Hey,
comic.
man, I'll give you my email.
Yeah, well, like she said, she grew up at the OTB.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, do you have any
And are you a good handicapper?
I don't really know what that means.
Well, that means are you good at
Betting the horses?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not really.
Basically. Or
I
anything.
just bet on the name.
Is that true?
Oh, I thought maybe your dad. Did your dad bet on the name too, or was he actually?
He was a
kind
good
of guy that would read the racing form. And
I mean, we lived in an apartment. I'm sure he was not. He wasn't betting on anything real.
He sounded like a great gambler, right?
No.
No. You grew up in the Bronx, right?
Yeah.
In an apartment.
Yes.
So he was probably making a lot of great bets.
A lot of them.
Yeah. What did he do for? Did he do anything for a living? Where he
He was a mailman.
A mail.
He was a mailman in the South Bronx.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
How is that amazing?
Because I think you hear that that's not a good. I'm lying. It's not amazing. No, I mean it sounds like he was a good guy and did the best he could. Did you have siblings?
Yes, a sister.
And how's she doing? Is she a comedian?
No.
No. Well, what were you into comedy? How about that? I mean, that's great.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, she's very excited about her career. She's got dry humor. Adrian's good with dry humor, and the fans love her. And Ben Kuzman here, the other guy.
Hey, Artie.
Here is he's a big gambler, right, Ben?
Big one. It's an honor.
And he's a big fan of John's. He is. Now, John, what do you usually? Ben is a guy, a middle-income guy. Tries
who's getting married in a week.
Yeah, it's man.
Getting married in a week, and he's
that's a gamble.
He likes the handicap stuff. He thinks he knows a lot about the NBA and football and stuff. So he's what you call, I guess, a mark.
I've never filled out that paper.
Yeah, no, he would never do that. Now, say you lose. How much do you have to lose to get a free steak? Like, at what point do you approach a guy like Ben and go, Ben, we hear you're getting married. Take a sandwich.
No, we take care of all our customers. I mean, it's usually based on. Remember, in our business, you're either picking A or B. So there's not a lot of money to be made for the sports book on just short, daily basis. Over the course of time, it works for us. So what we do is we take care. I mean, a guy will come in, and if he loses, of course, we'll take care of him. But of course, what will happen is the next time he'll come in and he'll beat us. So we gotta be careful on giving all your comps based on a one-time loss.
Can't give away too many steaks.
Right. Well, let me ask you this.
not
though.
too many steaks.
Let me ask you this though. Sometimes you have to do some stuff on the down low, on the hush hush. How many crying waitresses had to disappear so Bill Cosby could do another show?
Whoa, boy.
Did you ever work with Bill Cosby?
No, but I've seen his name on the billboards across the street. He's still
He's still working?
I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it for about 6 months, but he was performing at the Treasure Island probably about 10 months ago.
There's a treasure.
What was the circus booked?
Did you hear that? Did you hear that they found out the reason? He's got that crazy lazy eye now. You see that monstrous eye? Did you see that? That adds. It's terrible. And they talked to a doctor, and the reason he has that is when you're raping a woman, you have to keep one eye on the door.
Oh, my God.
You have to keep one eye on the door in case Tempest Bledsoe wants to have an emergency script conference.
Oh, my God.
Maybe I will. Malcolm's on board will put a better reference. Now, what if I roll in there, John? What if I, all the business I've given you, and I come in, I come to you and say, look, John, I by mistake I bet on the wrong team and I lost $100,000. And what can you do for me? Do you give me the Tom Hagen, Robert Duvall? Can't do it, Sally.
Well, what I do is I ask you, do you have any more money to make another bet? No.
Art, did you see
then I call a taxi and shove you in it and send you.
Art, did you see our scumbag podcaster form? Yeah, did you see the I pretend I don't know you form? Yeah. Now, what if Dan Filato is he's a guy he's my cleaner upper. He's my Harvard Keitel in Pulp Fiction. He's the guy I send. You send Filato? Well, that's cool in the gang, baby. What if a guy ever approaches you like my Jilly Rizzo? it says Artie, Artie lost some money, and there's a dead whore in the bathroom. What's the worst thing you ever saw? Did you ever see murder? You ever cover up a murder?
Not really.
That's the perfect answer.
Not really. Not murder. Maybe death, but not murder.
Did someone ever like an unexpected death happen? The guy's wife had a heart attack? Or,
it's happened many times.
John Entwistle, the guy from The Who, the bass player, died in the same room I was in 2 weeks later with Howard Stern. Yeah, they told me that I had the death suite, which was very comforting for my mother. And what about that? A celebrity ever die that you had to deal with?
Not personally, but it's happened. I could tell you some stories that, as of late, there's always deaths in the hotel. I mean, things happen, people have, but I do, there used to be
There's always deaths in the hotel. Okay.
There used to be a high
It's like a
suicide
hospital.
rate. Did you remember that? There used to be a high suicide rate in town at one time, and
I
guys
tried
used to
twice.
actually jump. Yeah, they used to jump off some of the parking garages, and some of them have jumped off the, out the Hoover Dam there.
Oh,
so.
really? No kidding. Well, that makes sense. People say, I've seen this before, where a loser jumps off a building and lands on a winner. And to me, that's really just two losers. That's why when I was suicidal, John, I could have jumped off a building, and the reason I didn't is I honestly was compassionate. I stabbed myself instead. And drank bleach. But and I said, I'm not jumping off. I said I could go check into the 80th floor of Four Seasons in New York and jump. But you know what? What if I land on a person? Could you imagine the guilt I'd have in heaven or hell, wherever I'm going? But all I thought of was a woman, like the mother of the person I fell on, like on Oprah, 2 months later, and she's crying, and underneath it says, Artie Lange fell on her son.
And all I got was this T-shirt.
All I got was this lousy T-shirt. Enormous comedian falls on her son. And I didn't. I'm compassionate. But jumping off the Hoover Dam, that is the move. You're not surviving that, right?
No, you're not. You're not going to survive that one. You're not going to survive jumping off most of the buildings in town.
Did you ever get? Well, Evel Knievel found that out, honey, on a motorcycle.
Yeah. Or jumping from building to building.
Right.
Too.
I mean, that one thing at Caesar's Palace when his bones break in slow motion. I got to admit, as a man, I like seeing that. You do like the spectacle. But did you ever get a guy who was confused what coast he was on and he jumped off the Hoover Dam in a barrel? Niagara Falls reference. All right, so 97, 85. I'm sure you're watching this. Oklahoma City is going away with this one. And they're going to go up 3-1. They're going to go up 3-1 unless there's a miracle here. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, Oklahoma City, 9 minutes, 37 seconds and ticking. Left in the fourth quarter, 97-85. In Oklahoma City, what's the wild card? It's Curry. If Curry goes on one of them runs, they could be up by 20.
No, this team is in a little bit of trouble. I mean, if they're going to be, how much time is left in the game?
9 and change.
9 and change, yeah.
9 and change.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm trying to create some excitement.
No, it's still early then. It's still early. But if they do lose this game and go down 3-1, I don't know. I wasn't even sure they were going to, after down 2-1, they were going to come back. So they're going to be in quite a hole here. Maybe the team has just kind of lost their mojo.
Yeah, you know who's bailing it in is the African guy Agdawalo this year. Agdawalo. I think he gets the ring, he goes back to the village and shows it to everybody, and probably bangs every broad in the village. And I think he's bailing it in. Your thoughts?
I don't know if he's the. I'm not sure he's the guy that's going to make the difference.
I want to blame it on him, Agdawalo.
Yeah.
Now, how creeped out are you by these commercials I'm watching right now with Chris? What's his guy's name?
Chris Paul.
Kevin
Love. Chris Paul.
Chris Paul. First of all, he's a little too who told him he was Eddie Murphy? He's a little too pleased with his comedic abilities, right? He's walking around going, it's just annoying. I hate when an athlete thinks they're funny. You know what I mean?
Chris Paul, I don't know if you remember this, but Chris Paul was supposed to go to the Lakers. This was back probably 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. He was supposed to go to the Lakers, and the NBA commissioner stopped the trade And I still don't know to this day why he didn't allow that to happen.
Really?
So, yes. And so the Lakers could have been he ends up going to the Clippers, of course, and the Lakers have been a disaster since then. But I just don't know why that happened, and that's why I've always questioned some of these guys that run these leagues.
I'll tell you why. Because because of Donald Sterling. He wasn't black enough. He was like, first of all, that got swept under the rug a little too quickly. The Donald Sterling tapes were just so great. They should release that as an album. I love the black people. And isn't it sad when an old guy like that gets taken down by a woman, who hides a videotape? You would never allow that, right?
And I wouldn't.
I mean,
I wouldn't allow it. I wouldn't allow it. But when you get old enough, it's kind of.
Well, I'm saying if a broad tries to play Donna Bello, I mean, she's looking at a tough road.
You should ask your guest if she would do it.
She's she's a very bright. She's an intellectual, and she's here just for the plugs. Adrian, no, would you ever play a man like that? Would you ever hide a videotape and try to trap him?
I mean, I would maybe do it just to ask him for money.
So you would blackmail somebody?
Yeah, I wouldn't just I wouldn't take his franchise away from him. I'm not evil.
Listen, I don't want the team. I'm looking for a Bentley.
Even if I agreed with what he said.
Well, believe me, it sounds like she did. Now, what do you have any inside dope on guy? Do people come to you and try to give you inside information, John, sometimes, and try to cut a deal with you and go, let's make some money? Like I know a certain player has an injury or something.
Yep, they do.
Really?
Yep. Well, so much that they don't tell me that they know a certain player. They'll just come to me and say they'll try to cut a deal on how much they can bet. That's the kind of deal they'll try to cut.
No kidding.
Yep. How much can they bet? And they'll be, if I consider them to be what you would call, Artie, this terminology, sharp, sophisticated.
Exactly.
Yes, there's no deal.
Well, okay. Well, I just, I had some gossip questions like this. So does anyone in the NBA have full-blown AIDS?
I don't know.
Settle a bet.
I do not
Settle
know.
a bet with me and Adrian.
What about women betting? Has a woman ever come in there and got beat up by her husband for losing rent money?
We call that
not in front of me.
No. What about So I'm saying Ray Rice never came in.
No, haven't seen him.
I was at the Ray Rice wedding, by the way. Very weird. He had a best man and she had a cup man.
Oh God.
We'll let that lay there. What about that? That is true. Do you ever see something so disgusting like domestic violence? Rearing its ugly head.
It doesn't usually happen in front of me, but it happens.
Yeah, like J-Lo tries to tell her husband not to tip, and
it wasn't even her husband.
Yeah, that's right. Now Dan claims that the phrase "on the down low" is a famous phrase for having sex with black men. Gay. When a black guy is gay, they call it on the down low, and I never heard of it before. Dan claims it's a famous phrase, and he said it, and I claim he heard it at an after hours club. And maybe might have had a life partner who was gay and black, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. John, did you ever hear that phrase on the down low?
No, but we use up high though to use that phrase.
Of course not. So you're a real man. Like I never heard it either. And Dan, of course. You thought so? You just don't want to go with your own.
John knows I'm not gay because I'm a Cubs fan.
What does that mean?
I know he's a Cubs fan.
I'm a real man.
Why does that mean you're not gay?
I'm a real man.
I have heard that term before, down low.
Well, you're a chick. You would hear it.
It doesn't matter though. It's still a real thing.
What is?
Down low.
Well, how does Dan know about it?
I read. Apparently that's bad.
What do you read? In the waiting room at the fucking black guy office? What do you mean you read? What does that mean?
I don't know if that's in reading material.
Time Magazine's new story on the down low. Who is the gayest guy in the NBA? John, are there any gay guys in the NBA that you know of for sure?
No, but I'm sure there are quite a few.
Yeah. What about you think? Here's the problem. you could get the players in the NFL to even be fake. Some of these Southern guys who were born with the Bible and go, I don't care, whatever gets me my contract. Guy could be gay, blah, blah, blah. The problem is the fans. Don't you think so? I mean, if a guy comes out on the Eagles as being gay and they're fine with it, and then he drops a big pass, oh, Nelly. How about the upper deck at the stadium for that one? It's going to be terrible. So I don't think that could ever happen. I don't think. Unfortunately, you're just going to have to stay in the closet for peace. Right?
Well, hardcore fans are certainly not compassionate people,
right?
And they're not compassionate towards anything in life except the norm. So anything that's out of the norm, they're totally against. And there's a lot of those type of fans in sports. I mean, they're just one-sided, rigid, and that's why the gays have not been accepted in the sports.
If you're good, you play. That's the thing. That's what I would say. If you're
that's all that matters.
Right?
Can you play?
Yeah, exactly. If you're good, you play. Michael Vick, you ever read exactly what he did to dogs? That guy. I mean, this is a terrible human being. You could do that to another living thing. Drowning.
Oh, I can't hear it.
Yeah, you would electrocute dogs.
By the way, you want to hear a story about those dogs?
Absolutely.
Please.
Not if
so
it's
those
bad.
those dogs were sent up to Utah, up into.
Oh, that's terrible.
No, it was a good thing.
They were raised by Mormons.
We're going to Karl Malone's
Send me back.
And
Send me back to
yeah, they were sent to this place up in Utah, a great facility, and I was up there to visit it. And those dogs have been basically nurtured again. And now I don't know if you're ever going to find them. I think one or two of them were let loose and are pets again for people. But
oh, that's great.
So those dogs were able to be turned around from what those guys were using them for. So I just want to give you a positive spin on that story for the.
No, I know.
By the way, that's Best Friends. That was the name of the place in Utah. Best Friends.
Best
That's
Friends. Exactly. Sure, that's it. Well, Dan is a big, on the download. Don't tell anybody he has 5 Brussels Griffons. The same. That doesn't mean you're gay. I mean, 5. 2 are dead, and his favorite. Tell John your favorite. The name of your favorite dog.
Tippy. John,
Tippy.
I married into him.
Tippy.
The dogs were there when I got there.
I married into him. Give me a break.
You love him though, Danny.
That's
you love
right.
him.
He saw him walking down the street. He goes, "I'm going to make sure I'm going to get related to those 5 Brussels Griffons. I'm going to send maybe that Andy." And I seduced this woman. I feel terrible. I said, "Oh, you're a very fine woman. You're a wonderful lady about town. And I noticed you have 5 Brussels Griffons. Is that Tippy? Now, can I walk Tippy every day?" Now, the chubby one seems retarded. Did you hear that one of the dogs was chubby and retarded? And the other dog that was smarter used to step on the dog to get over the enclosure to go on a what would you call it, Dan? A day out with the dogs? A day of what would you have with them? A day out. What'd you call it?
Oh, what did the dog? Oh,
Yeah,
a jailbreak.
Jailbreak.
I couldn't figure out, John, how they were getting out, and then we put a camera down there.
Yeah,
and
nothing gay about that.
I realized that.
Nothing gay about that, baby. Jailbreak.
How my cubbies looking, John?
Yeah, a lot of straight guys.
Your cubbies are looking great.
A lot of straight guys have 5 Brussels Griffons. One named Tippy. And when they take them out, they call it a jailbreak. Who's your favorite comedian who goes through there besides myself, of course? Do you like the fluffy pillow guy, Gabriel Iglesias?
I only have one favorite.
That's me.
Tig
That's
Notaro.
correct.
What about
I go no deeper than that. I really don't like to. I don't like to spread myself too thin. So I usually just like one in life. I like one of everything, and you're right on the comedy side.
What about Tig Notaro? Have you seen her? Knock knock. It's Tig Notaro.
She gets a lot of free steaks.
Yeah. She, if you look real close, and she takes her shirt off she had a mastectomy. Is that what they call when you cut your tits off? Mastectomy. And she takes her shirt off in her HBO special. It's very, very touching. She looks like Christian Bale, the machinist. Now, John, we're going to cut out you laughing at that because you might get fired. Have you ever had a politically incorrect incident at the, did they ever overhear you saying something about, or someone that you know, a friend of yours? How about a friend come from back east and create a problem? Like, you come from the east, and sometimes we go out there and it gets embarrassing.
Well, you got to remember, Artie, maybe before I worked for Wynn, I might have said some politically incorrect things, but now I'm at the Wynn Hotel, I have to be very careful on what comes out of my mouth.
We're all winners.
Yeah,
We're all
right.
winners. Yeah, and sometimes you got to make sure. Exactly.
Plus, I'm getting older, too. As you get older, you get smarter, don't you? Well,
I would hope so. Right, exactly. I would hope so. I'm very smart. Compared to when I was 30, I was like retarded. But now I'm like a fucking genius. I want to come there and sit down and break some bread with you, first of all, because I still have not met you in person. And I want to come there and buy you dinner. And a restaurant of your choice. I know if you want to go to Hooters, Bobby Slayton can get a comp.
I have a question for John, actually.
Go right ahead.
John, there's been a lot of stuff in the news today with the Raiders owner, Mark Davis.
Who are you, Jay Leno? I'll tell you the news today with Mark Davis.
But Mark Davis, aside from being the owner of the Raiders, has a especially disgusting haircut. If you check it out, it looks weird. But
they're all weird.
He was thinking of moving the team to Vegas, John. I was or trying to get that done. Just trying to get your thoughts on that.
Go ahead, man.
Well, I thought there was a fair chance they would come here, except that the commissioner of the NFL really doesn't like Las Vegas. And so if he has anything to do with it, of course you have to get 2/3 of the owners' votes to get him here. But if he has anything to do with it, it's not going to happen. But did you also read that there's a group in Oakland that is trying to put together,
That's the
financial package.
The Black Panthers?
to keep those guys in Oakland and build a new stadium there. So that's the latest.
How great would it be, John, if the Carolina Panthers moved to Oakland and became the Black Panthers?
No.
Come on, that would be perfect. I would go out for that.
I'll tell you one of the problems I'm going to have if the Oakland Raiders do come to Las Vegas.
Blacks?
That half of my staff is Oakland Raider fans. I won't have enough ticket writers the day they
are nuts. Yeah, ever since the 70s, man. Like they're like bikers.
And they travel.
They travel like they are bikers. And the camp of the Raiders in the 70s, the August camp, the summer camp, was just a bunch of bikers ran it, and it was very, 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 very scary. And,
wild group.
Are the Raiders still? First of all, Al Davis. What'd you think of him? Did you like Al Davis? Were you a fan of his?
No.
No, yeah.
No, the game. Well, Al Davis at one time, I guess he was okay, but the game passed him by, and he held on way, way too long.
He had a hard on for me. He had something with Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen had to bang a chick that he liked or something. There was no explanation about why Al Davis would not. He wouldn't put Marcus Allen in the game on like the 1 yard line. You remember that? It really affected the league. They should have been a dynasty. That team.
Yes, they should have.
Yeah,
definitely. They're going to be good. They're going to be good again, though. I think this is watch out for them this year. This could be a team that could win the division that they're in, because the Denver Broncos certainly lost a lot of players, and Kansas City's nothing special, and San Diego's nothing special. So it's actually there for the taking. The Raiders could possibly win that division.
Okay, well, I'll end with this. Your favorite episode of the George Lopez Show?
Don't remember ever seeing it.
Gilo. Call him Gilo. Well, you're always great, man. I gotta get out there. I have not met you yet, and this is crazy, and I think we'd have a lot of fun. Just have.
Or when I come back that way, I'll have to look you up.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I have an illegal casino in the back, so you can run that. You can handicap some stuff there.
Thank you much.
And I'm going to have the form ready for you to sign that you won't do this anymore. We got to do the podcast, Dan. Come on, produce the show. Do your job. Dan always says he's going to do this, and he never does. Are we going to go to Vegas? Every year we say this.
Yes. I want to go to Vegas.
What are you yelling at me for?
I'd love to go to Vegas.
Well, do it. You're the producer. I'm the talent. Here's what this is what he doesn't understand. When I was on the Stern Show, I'd go, "Here's your ticket to Las Vegas. You're going. This is the day you go." Dan doesn't do that. Dan goes, "We should do it, right?" I go, "Yeah." Then 4 years later, what happened?
John, the second we hang up, I'll get your credit card number and we'll get it done.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Okay, good enough. I'll hold on after we hang up, Dan.
I love you, John, and you listen. I'm going to come out there, and I'll come without Dan. How's that sound? I'll come with Tippy.
Love to see you.
All right, brother. You be well.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, John.
Bye.
Thanks, John.
Got a great sense of humor, that guy. And yeah, what about that, Dan? You've been saying let's go to Vegas for so long. Chicago, another horrible disappointment. Ben, what do you think about Dan? Do you think he's a disappointing person? Does he disappoint people?
I don't think so. I think Dan is a rock solid guy.
Okay.
You know,
right.
maybe you just have to stay on him. Maybe he's looking out for you with the Vegas travel. Maybe he's trying to find the best deal.
Okay. Can I make up for one mistake?
What mistake?
I have that tape that I didn't have for Adrian.
What tape?
The last time that she was here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The movie clip.
Oh, about the girl that.
Oh yeah,
called the
well
black
she
guy the
heard it
N-word?
already. She heard it. Did you said you heard it, right?
Yeah, I saw it. I think you sent it to me.
There's no way to make up for the mistake.
Unless you just want to watch the black guy have sex.
Is this the guy I'm ever down there with? Who's the black guy? Who's the actor? He's great in this. We'll play it to go into commercial. How long were we talking to what's his face?
51 minutes.
All right, we'll take a commercial because my head is like I'm from Mozzarella. Who's the black actor in this? We know Selma Blair is getting it.
Sidney Poitier.
Is this Chris Paul?
Michael B. Jordan.
I think it was. What's his name? Dennis Haysbert.
Let's see. Leo Fitzpatrick.
Oh. No, it's not.
It's the guy who played Cliff in Night Court.
It's not Leo Fitzpatrick.
No, who's it?
Leo Fitzpatrick. It's Michael Winslow.
Brian Gumble.
Michael Winslow making all those noise effects. Call me nigger.
Danny Glover.
Did you find it yet?
I have the clip. I don't know who it is.
What's the name of the movie? What's the name of the movie again?
Storytelling.
You'll never find this.
They don't have a picture. They don't have pictures of the guys.
Okay.
Not on IMDb.
All the guys on the.
Do you think it goes into casting calls and they're like, "You're that guy"?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, say it again. Say the catchphrase. It's so easy to find the guy's name. Yeah. We're not
It's
playing.
Robert Mr.
you.
Scott. Artie, is that the guy's name?
Yeah, I guess.
Robert Wisdom.
Why couldn't you find that?
Is that him?
Show him his penis.
Yeah.
I don't know the guy. I never saw him.
Let me see.
Robert Wisdom, I think.
I only heard it. My point is, why couldn't you
a
do
lot
what?
of plugs
Why
for
couldn't
him.
you do what he just did?
I've got the clip up here. That's why.
What about your phone?
Huh?
What about your phone?
Huh?
What? Something happened to Dan. He is so nervous. Were you burned with a cigarette by your former owner? All right. Play. Let's go on a commercial with the fuck me nigga.
Nigga, fuck me.
Oh, but I can't do that.
Say, nigga.
Yeah.
God.
God.
Say, nigga.
Nigga.
Fuck me hard.
Fuck me hard.
Say, nigga. Fuck me hard.
Nigger. Fuck me hard.
Again.
Nigger. Fuck me hard.
Again.
Nigger. Fuck me hard. Nigger. Fuck me hard. Nigger. Fuck me hard.
Again.
Nigger. Fuck me hard.
Again.
Nigger. Fuck me.
Don't make me break my foot off in your ass.
That's my white mama.
We are back. All right. I got to run. This is so fucking great that that Jack was here for Joe Buck because he's a fan, and that was what a perfect ending with that
Really
joke.
nice. You know,
Perfect ending with that joke.
I spent the 50s, you know, at Yankee Stadium and
How funny is
at
that?
every World Series game.
That's great, man. Well, I'm gonna end like this. I got to thank, of course, Adrian Iapucci.
Yes.
Iapucci. She was last night. And, of course, the great Ben Kuzman, Ben from Clifton. Thanks, guys. Joe Buck, I love you, man. You are the fucking best. And I wish you the best. Well, listen to him do golf. I'm sure it's going to be great. And, Jackie, man, you know what? I'll let you plug. I got to leave you with this. I never said this to you, but this came about in my head after I watched you do stand-up that night at Gotham, and we were on the same bill together. We are unique in the sense that the only two people that occupied that job are me and you. And the reason I don't think he had anybody on after me is not because of any of my abilities. I think he didn't want to train somebody else or whatever. I think he was fed up a little bit with it, and he was fine with who was there. But so he's going to retire, obviously, and that chair will be empty. And in a way, I'm so proud that you're the only other guy that was there. And I am honored in the fact that you created that job. I would not have anything. After Mad TV, and all that went away, that 5-year part of my career, you could argue, you can't argue, it's true. Howard is responsible for every great thing in my career. And of course, Gary was amazing to me, everybody there. But in my head, to me, the guy who's second, and a close second, responsible for all the good shit in my career is Jackie, because he created that fucking job and has been nothing, for the record, but nice to me since then. And I want you to know, Jack, that the other guy who sat in that chair beside you, the only other guy, loves you and respects you and is proud to be that guy.
And I am humbled by that, and I want to tell you for the first time, I created that job with you in mind.
Thank God someone made that funny.
That was such a nice thing to say.
It's true. I never said that to you. I said, listen, let me. And on the podcast, really, it's just me, you, Danny, and my mother listening. But
and the stories will never get old, and there'll always be new ones, and the old ones will continue to get funnier, and we'll just have fun.
I got to tell you, I'm disorganized, but I want you to hear this on the air. It's on Jackie because this is an official invite. He lives not far, right across the river. I would love to have you on. You can come. I want once a month. I'd love to have you on.
I am here once a month.
Please.
Okay.
How fucking great is it? I look forward to that.
I love that. All right, I'm telling people 7 p.m. Saturday night, June 4th. I'm at the Brokerage in Belmore. It's going to be a great old time because it always is. I started that show in 1980.
Wow, at the Brokerage, man.
And I tweet jokes at Jackie Martling every day at 4:20 marijuana time, and I still have my stupid dial joke. 516-922-WINE is still going 37 years later.
That's amazing. Well, again, it won't be an official day. It's sloppy, it's jazzy, it's funky, but it'll be once a month. I hope Jack comes in here.
And I will take you up on that.
And we're going to hang. We're going to hang like we just hung tonight.
Someday we're going to hang somewhere.
And, we always say we're going to get a meal. And, but you know what, this was...
I'll be a little bit more up your ass about it.
If you come in... Well, Dan is up my ass.
All right. There's no room up there.
If we make the once a month thing happen too, we'll definitely do the theater thing we've been threatening to do. We got to do that show too.
You said that one time.
It's on you. Look at me. I just found my sneaker was missing you organize it. You're better at that.
I will put it together, but I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm gonna chase it down.
Go ahead.
How many fucking theater owners would kill to have me and you on a show together?
Let's do it. You got to organize it though, because Dan forgets stuff. But I'm kidding, Dan. Listen, we're gonna make that happen.